you. Scott Hansen trying to ring the bell for the third time here today. Well, right next to him, a guy who's always fast, Mike Garvey. And from Scott Hansen forward, the field is peppered primarily with ASA regulars. And as we work our way up towards the front of the field, you'll see a lot of familiar faces. Ted Smokestad, who usually runs the LS1 V8 car, is going to be in the number 10 Ite Motorsports car. And as we get a little bit further up, leading rookie contender Ricky Johnson, he's in the field. And we come all the way up, we start to see the defending champion, Gary St. Amant. Of course, the first pole sitter of the year, Jack Landis. And then as we get a little bit further on the outside of row number 3, we see Tony Raines, who is also not a regular on the ASA Tour, of course, and the points contender, Tim Sauter, who is inside of row number 3. But outside of row 2 is the man leading points. Mike Miller, you had a scare before the race got started, changed an engine, but you did it quick.
Well, yeah, we had a little landing gear problem there, and the guys did a fantastic job of changing it, and here we are out on the grid, ready to go racing.
Well, Mike, now, no one, you've won here before a couple of times. Are points more important? I hate to even talk about it because I know you do.
No, we're here to try to win the race, period. End of statement.
All right, there you go. Back upstairs, guys.
Racing to win. Mike Miller is the series point leader. He's won twice here. Speaking of guys who've won twice here, how about our expert analyst on these broadcasts, 3-time ASA champ Butch Miller? Butch, you know this racetrack well. This is a tough old place to get around, isn't it?
It sure is. It's a great racetrack, though. It's an old racetrack that's been here for years and years. Pavement's old, and the very first laps you put on the racetrack out there are going to be your fastest on a set of tires. After 20 laps, you're probably going to run 2 seconds slower than you originally started out with a new set. So we're looking for a good race. The guy that can keep those tires under the car is going to win.
Very important, of course, on the bias ply Goodyears that these teams do use. One driver who had a lot of success in qualifying today. In fact, surprisingly, he is on the pole. His first ASA start in 8 years. Brian Drebber standing by with Kenny Wallace.
Well, indeed, Kenny Wallace, not exactly an ASA regular. Well, it's been some time, at least, since Kenny was a regular, but I know you've come back here with a lot of fire, a very fast race car. But what's your motivation here to go so quick?
Well, I think I've just got to, Richie Waters is a good car builder, and Scotty Hansen helped set the car up for us. So, I haven't run ASA in about 8 or 9 years, and I just wanted to run these cars before they made the major changes and come out with a new car next year.
And come out with a win, perhaps. Now, nobody's won from the pole here in quite a while. Can you do that?
Well, I don't know. I'm a little concerned about our setup just because, they only gave us an hour of practice. It's a very slippery racetrack, and, hopefully we can adjust on it all day and just stay up with it.
Well, obviously, the experience of Kenny Wallace, even with only an hour of practice, paid off with a pole position, guys, upstairs.
Kenny Wallace will lead him to green in just a short time here at the Minnesota State Fair. Want to show you one of the other invaders coming back to his ASA roots today is Ted Musgrave. Now, Ted Musgrave Jr. has run in the series this year. He's in the field today as well, but the driver of Butch Mock's Ford on the Winston Cup Tour is here today in another Ford Thunderbird, car number 75. Ted said the car's quite a bit far off from what he would like it to be. They're going to work on it during the course of the race and hope to have some fun here today, but don't count Ted Musgrave out of the mix when we get down toward checkered flag time a little later this afternoon. Coming to the end of the 1999 season, this is race 17. There'll be 3 races left after today's run here in Minnesota. Mike Miller is your series point leader by 67 over Tim Sauter. It's really a 2-horse race at this point. Jimmy Johnson certainly has a shot, but he needs to win today. And Miller and Sauter have problems to get back into the hunt. Gary St. Amant's not out of it, but as you look a little deeper in the list, look at this. Rick Johnson, Tristan Dupuis, and Derek Gilchrist off his 3rd win of the year last week at Milwaukee. They're all in the top 10 in points. It's going to be quite a rookie points battle as we get down to the end of the season in October at Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina. We've got a lot to talk about here today. We are so glad you're with us on TNN Motorsports. Let's get those famous words that'll get the Miller Lite 300 underway. Back to the grid and Brian Drebber.
Well, guys, this is the part we always like the best because it means the bench racing is over and the real racing is about to begin. Here with me to do the honors is Troy Osterbauer, who is a Miller Products retailer here in the Minnesota area.
Hi. On behalf of Miller Brewing Company, welcome everyone to the Miller Lite 300. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Engines firing, the belts being cinched up. We're about set to get the Miller Lite 300 underway at the Minnesota State Fair. Back with plenty more on TNN. By AC-Delco Automotive Parts. If you're not asking for it, you're asking for it. and by Grease Lightning Multi-Purpose Degreaser. Welcome back to St. Paul, Minnesota, the Minnesota State Fairgrounds and the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series today here on TNN Motorsports Field. Rolling behind the pace car here, the Lite Chevrolet Monte Carlo handling the honors for us here today. Beautiful day for racing, as we mentioned. You couldn't ask for better weather. Temperatures not quite 80 degrees. Beautiful clear blue skies. And the field is away, and we're ready to go. Let's take a look at our starting lineup here this afternoon for the Miller Lite 300, presented by Auto Value Parts Stores and by Janiking Commercial Cleaning Systems. Kenny Wallace, your pole sitter in that Ford. The 55 car ran 88.1 miles an hour. And Mike Eddy won a lacrosse several weeks back on the outside of row number 1. Second row, Jimmy Johnson. He's qualified well everywhere we've been in the Pennzoil Herzog Chevrolet. Mike Miller, the point leader, the Janiking Pontiac. Row number 3 looks like this. Tim Sauter, the second place driver in points right now in the Build-A-Mold Chevrolet. Tony Raines invading today in the Miller Lite Ford. That's car number 74. Fourth row, Jack Landis in the Adirondack International Raceway Ford, the 07. And Greg Stewart in the Keener Lumber Pontiac. That is car number 33. Fifth row, Rick Beebe, the Meyer Stores Chevrolet, car number 23. And Gary Saintamont, the defending series champion in the Wins Chevrolet. He'll go 10th today. Sixth row, Ricky Johnson, the Nationwide Auto Auction System Chevrolet. And Jimmy Mars, good qualifying run for Mars. Mike Garvey's teammate in the Parker Stores Chevrolet, the 01. Seventh row is Ted Smokestad jumping into Chuck Eiten's number 10. Teammate car to Mike Eddy's machine, and Brandon Sperling in the Crookston Motorsports McDonald's drive-through Chevrolet. Eighth row, Mike Garvey, the Tecumseh Chevrolet out of the Lefebvre Racing Stables. And Scott Hansen, the Motorsports of Rice Lake Ford, the 99 car. Row number 9, Eddie Hoffman, the Structural Transport Ford. That's the 5. And Ted Musgrave Jr. in the Zuropa Chevrolet, the 72. Row number 10, Dave Sensiba, the Generac Pontiac. And outside, rookie contender Tristan Dupuis in the Go-Go Auto Parts Pontiac. That's car number 11. The 11th row, Derek Gilchrist won last week in Milwaukee in a great run in Ken Schrader's Grease Lightning Chevrolet. And Harold Fair, the Diesel Repair Pontiac, the 81. Row number 12, Dave Doran in the Lista Chevrolet, the 77. We understand he'll be in a backup car. And Alec Pincino in the Moldplot Chevrolet, the 93. Row 13, Ken Alexander, the Grease Lightning Chevrolet. And Russ Tuttle out of Indianapolis in the Tyson Foods Chevrolet, the 16. David Anspaugh, the First Aid Chevrolet. Tim Taylor in the EMAS Chevrolet will make up the 14th row. Your 15th row, Buddy Gainey in the Gainey Transportation Chevrolet, the 4 car. And Jimmy Price making his 4th start of the year in the Quick Car Pontiac. 16th row, Carol Adamy from Nebraska, the Dorothy Lynch Salad Dressing Chevrolet. Sam Godwald, the Yarman Ford, number 82. And the 17th row, Ted Musgrave. Problems with that car in practice and qualifying. Hoping to have a good run today. The Milwaukee Electric, number 75. Gordy Swanson, shotgun on the field, the Sutter Racing Pontiac, car number 95. So we'll have 34 cars ready to take the green. We had some cars fail to make the show here today. We'll tell you more about them as we move along here today, but we're going to take a quick time out. Beautiful day for racing and a beautiful day to enjoy the Minnesota State Fair. Happy Labor Day. Welcome back live to the Minnesota State Fairgrounds in St. Paul, Minnesota, the Miller Lite 300 for the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series here on TNN Motorsports. Rick Benjamin, Jim Trado, Butch Miller, Brian Dreppers on pit road today. Safety car still on the Speedway. We'll get at least one more pace lap in. We'll show you some onboard views. We'll be riding with Ken Alexander in the Grease Lightning Chevrolet today. Alexander in the show solidly. He's turned in some great runs of late. He'll start 25th here today. Ricky Johnson goes 11th in the Nationwide Auction System Chevrolet, and we'll take you along for a spin in his Herzog Motorsports machine. Series point leader Mike Miller starting outside row number 2 will have onboard cameras for us today as well. And you'll certainly want to ride with Mike Eddy, who starts on the outside of row number 1. Jim, first couple of laps, what will we see here?
We're going to see a lot of debris actually being blown up because this is the only time the series runs on the track. It's the only time the track is used, so a lot of dust blowing up, a lot of guys wanting to get to the bottom.
$173,000 on the line for the 34 cars today. Butch Miller, is it important to get to the front early here in Minnesota?
Actually, if your car goes to the front right away, it's probably no good. It needs to go good after about 10 laps.
Green flag is out. We're underway. Troubles for Greg Stewart. They changed a battery on pit road earlier. Evidently, the fix did not take, and Stewart is out of power down on the inside of the racetrack going into turn 1. And it looks like we may see a caution. Jimmy Johnson taking a look back from the 88 car of Mike Eddy. Looks as though everybody's off the button as we took the green and completed lap number 1. Brian Driver, what's going on in the Stewart pits?
Well, guys, they had a battery ready to put a new one in, but the problem wasn't the battery. It was a loose electrical connection. So Alan Massengill and the crew on the Keener Lumber Company Pontiac did the best they could to get it fixed. They got the car fired. They made the pace lap, but not the race, as you can see.
So Stewart has stopped down between turns 1 and 2 on the inside apron of the racetrack. ASA officials watching. Looks like they're going to send a wrecker out for the 33, and Stewart, who qualified pretty well here today, actually is going to have a tough row to hoe because he's already lost 1 lap. Started in 8th spot, scheduled to, but did not make the position on the initial green flag. Here are the drivers who didn't make it, and a surprise there at the top of the list. Kevin Noodleman, who is so strong and really in one of his home area racetracks, didn't qualify. Neither did Paul Payne, Andy Burgess, Jody Clark, Les Bechner, who's from the Minneapolis area, Dennis Miller, and Kurt Walbeck failing to make the show. So we had 7 drivers, total of 41 cars here today. A very healthy field in Minnesota.
Second largest all year. It's in Milwaukee, and I think we're going to see a lot of car counts build towards the end of the season because of the expected changes in 2000. These teams want to get a head start.
Noodleman really surprises me, though, that he wasn't fast enough to make the show.
He just locked up his 6th championship at La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway in the late model division. High hopes here today. He's run here very well in the past. Noodleman from nearby La Crosse, Wisconsin, just over the border.
Pontiac Grand Prix safety car, the official pace car of the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series on the racetrack to lead the cars around under caution. Took the green, ran 1 lap under green. Mike Miller being shown as the leader as we get ready to restart. Kenny Wallace actually at the point. Pole sitter jumped out in front early. It'll be Wallace, Eddy, Jimmy Johnson, Miller, Sauter, Raines, Landis, Beebe, and Jimmy Johnson. Make that Ricky Johnson and Gary St. Amant the rest of your first 10 as we are under caution. Got the left rear wheel off the 33 car up inside, trying to find the faulty electrics and replace them in the 33. If you're a driver, Butch, how frustrating is that to find that situation right at the start of the race?
Well, very frustrating. In fact, you're so frustrated you want to get out and help. But you know, if you do, it's going to take you that much longer to get strapped back in to go again.
Caution laps are counting. Dan Spence on the flag stand for ASA as always, showing 1 to go to the field. So we'll go green here in just a few seconds. Part of a huge day of motorsports, of course, here on TNN. Later on, the U.S. Nationals from Indianapolis Raceway Park, the NHRA's Big Go. The finals in the fuel categories and in pro stock coming up 5 o'clock Eastern and Pacific time today here on TNN Motorsports, and more rodeo action too. Part of 18 hours of bull today on TNN. We're glad you're with us here at the Minnesota State Fair. Folks come here and they have one thing in mind. It's to have a great time. And Jim, I know you had a chance to enjoy some of the fair attractions this weekend.
I am a corn dog connoisseur. I'll tell you that right now. And it was wonderful having such a selection. They also have some great fries here. 18 things on a stick that are edible, not just what you can buy in the old carnival. Unbelievable array of foods and an unbelievably strong field of ASA cars. 6 laps under the boards, and green flag is back out. Ted Smokestad in car number 10 is on the move. Mike Garvey back there as well. They're battling for 12th spot. Up front, Mike Eddy is second. Kenny Wallace is your leader. Eddy to the inside as they work out of turn 4. Wallace will hold him off. Jimmy Johnson rides third. Now, will the second groove come in here, or do you have to stay low, Butch?
No, actually, there will never probably be a very good second group. Your best move to pass is to wait till the guy tires out in front of you. His tires get worn down a little bit, duck under him right at that portion of the track, coming off either through turn 2 or turn 4.
Wallace and Eddy, a couple of guys who've logged a lot of laps here. Eddy has a couple of wins in Minnesota over the years. Jimmy Johnson several car lengths back in third. On board with Mike Eddy, his DuPont Iton Chevrolet. Tony Raines starting to advance up through the field. He is 6th. On board with Mike Miller, keeping a watch out and back for Raines, who's currently 12th in NASCAR Busch Series standings. Raines driving the 74 car for Base Motorsports on the NASCAR Busch Series Tour. Miller riding in 5th. Raines is 6th.
This is the same car Tony Raines finished 3rd here 1 year ago. The number was 22 on this side, but Rick Skelto said, hey, we're going to put you back in that same car because you ran so well.
And Rains moving to the inside, and Mike Miller grabs the spot, so move Rains up one to 5th. On board the Janet King Pontiac. Tony pulling away now. Tim Sauter pushing up high there between turns 1 and 2, and Eddie has gone by. Mike Eddy has snuck by Kenny Wallace to grab the lead going down the back straightaway. So Eddie, who won at La Crosse in that stunning drive from the back of the pack several weeks ago, has grabbed the top spot here. With 11 laps on the board.
We had mentioned last race in Milwaukee when Mike Eddy took the lead, he had over 900 laps led at that facility. In now 11 races, Mike Eddy's held the point. At Minnesota, he's led over 830 laps. This guy is dominant at these large fairground ovals.
It's a big half mile here in Minnesota at St. Paul. Hard by the campus of the University of Minnesota, the St. Paul side of it. Now Wallace to the inside takes a look. On board Eddie's machine. If you've ever been to a fairgrounds racetrack, you'd certainly recognize the place here. Big stage in the middle of the infield. We'll see that a lot this afternoon. And Wallace gets the jump off the corner. Butch, just as you said, you've got to get that jump coming out of a corner to make a pass.
That's preferred pass, and you haven't seen the last pass of the day. You know,
that's all. Oh, trouble up between 1 and 2. That looks like it might be the Build-A-Mold car. It is. Alec Pinsino into the wall. Pinsino with heavy damage to the left front corner of the car, at least the bodywork. Fender flapping, and the Build-A-Mold Chevrolet, the AP Performance crew, will have to do some heavy work on the 93 to get that car ready to return to racing. 14 to go, and Pinsino, look at him slide here, got way out of the groove in 1 and 2.
He was already missing that fender, so something happened prior to that shot, and then he got up. He apparently got pushed up into the marble area out there, and the area that's all dusty and dirty from all the years of, you know.
We are under caution. Pinsino will come to pit road. Thought he had hit the wall from where he ended up, but obviously he did not. He spun and saved it, so a good move by Pinsino. Kenny Wallace, your leader, with 15 laps complete. Back at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds in St. Paul, Minnesota, the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series here on TNN Motorsports. The Miller Lite 300 today, presented by Auto Value and also by Janet King Commercial Cleaning Services. The AP Performance crew going at it hard on the 93 right now, doing some surgery to the left front corner of that car, get the bodywork back in place as best they can. They've dropped the jack, changed a couple of tires for now. They just pulled some of the bodywork away and put a new left front tire on for Pinsino.
This team is very determined. Alec Pinsino's gaining experience, gaining confidence. Last race at Milwaukee, he got spun on the first lap. The back of the car was flapping most of the race, and he finished top 10. He finished 7th, so they're not at all deterred by this. I think they were just trying to see if the front end was square to let him run all 300 laps.
How important is aerodynamics in a place like this, Butch Miller? Minus a lot of that left front fender, will that hurt him?
No, that won't hurt a thing. If he was missing a spoiler in the back, yeah, that'll hurt. But this is, you run pretty slow in the middle of the corner here, mainly because of that old pavement. So the front end sticking, no big deal.
On board with Ken Alexander, the Grease Lightning Chevrolet, snaking the car back and forth. Concerned about a possible bit of damage to the back end of that machine. We'll keep an eye on it. Ready to go green once again. 17 laps are complete. This is lap 18. Kenny Wallace leads him into turn 1. Eddie is second. Tim Sauter is third. Jimmy Johnson is fourth. Tony Raines rides 5th. Mike Miller is 6th. Then you've got Rick Beebe and Jack Landis, Gary St. Amant, and Jimmy Mars is up to 10th now. Mars started 12th from Elk Mound, Wisconsin. And they like the way that car is performing here so far today. And remember, this is a one-day show for ASA. Everybody unloaded this morning, practiced for an hour, as we're on board with Mike Miller in turns 1 and 2, the series point leader. Didn't have much time to change things. As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Miller's crew has really thrashed today.
They found a problem just after qualifying. Qualified 4th, came in a regular systems check, and they found that the flywheel clutch had a problem, so they changed the entire motor right before the race.
So Miller settling in 6th. Now Tony Raines is starting to make some moves, Butch. He's climbed up to 4th.
He sure is. He's running a perfect line around this racetrack. That's exactly how you want your car to work, right on the bottom, and still he could step on the gas pretty good to get it off the corner.
Mike Miller, we're watching from his machine. He and Jimmy Johnson, of course, have battled all season long. Had some great duels, especially at Nashville back in May. Miller trying to get low and root Johnson out of the way as they battle it out for 5th. Raines has gone on ahead in 4th spot. Have we run enough laps now that your tires have settled in, at least for this first run?
They're almost as slow as they're going to get. They're probably going to slow down another half a second, but they're probably a second and a half slower right now than they were when they qualified.
Miller unable to do much with Johnson here as we work to the backstretch.
Mike Miller is reporting tight. The word from Brian Trevor. At one point I was going to add, guys, to a man on pit lane this morning, they said our first set of tires will be somewhat of a sacrifice to get that rubber laid down, and it's a matter of coming in at first opportunity to get those tires on and full strategy from there. But they said the first set will be gone pretty quick because of the porous surface.
We talked a lot last week in Milwaukee about your pit cycle, when you would stop, whether you'd take 4 tires and so forth. Here today, some of the drivers were saying this morning they try to do it in one stop, a little short of halfway. With Mike Miller into 1.
That was the strategy for Bob Seneca at Milwaukee a couple of times. He went away from that. He came in 3 times last race, and Mike Eddy thought he could have won if he went down pit lane more than just once. So that strategy has its pros and cons as well.
And of course, how the cautions fall and whether the guys up front decide to stop has a lot to do with it. Miller to the inside and Johnson down into 3. He has made the move. Give Mike Miller 5th spot. He's got to go to work, though, because up in front, the top 4 have moved away. There's a good gap now. Miller starts to pull away from Jimmy Johnson. Raines in the 74 car has just gone around Sauter, so that's a pass for 3rd. So Tony Raines jumps into 3rd spot. Raines on the move early. Started 6th. He's gained 3 positions here in the first 25 laps, and that Thunderbird is quick.
It's always straight. Never, ever do you see that tire turn right on the way off a corner.
Raines has not won here at the Minnesota State Fair, but in just the last 2 races, the last 2 Labor Days, he's led 185 of the laps total in the last 2 events out of 600. So that, nearly half the laps led by Tony Raines.
Look at this battle a little further back. Rick Beebe is 7th. The battle behind him for Gary St. Amand and Jimmy Mars in the 01. Mars challenging, and Mike Garvey, his teammate, is right in there. Andy Burgess is in there as well. Burgess, we believe, is a lapped car. Beebe and St. Amand. And St. Amand to the inside of Beebe. He's going for 7th, and he's going to get it. And Jimmy Mars brings the 01 inside. On board with Mike Miller once again. As we go back to that battle for 6th and 7th and 8th. St. Amand inside. Beebe gets the position as they work out a 2. Jimmy Mars once more in the 01. Mike Garvey in the 1 car. Back at 9th. The 02 of Burgess not being shown on the lead lap at this point. Make that the 99 car, we should say, of Burgess.
Has switched to a Chevrolet. This is his 2nd race in the car. It's a new car to them. He thought it was great at Milwaukee. Didn't have just the greatest run. He may be holding this pack up right now, trying to get comfortable with that new Chevy and the Myers sponsorship.
Brandon Sperling has moved up into this group, as has Scott Hansen in the 99 car on the outside there of Mars. So Hansen starting to come up through there as well. He didn't like the way that car was running early on either.
No, but I like that 01 that's right on the inside of him. I watched him in practice all morning. That thing is straight, and it comes off, and he could really plant his foot.
Hansen starting to move toward the front of the field. This has been the pattern for Hansen in his infrequent ASA appearances this year. Now Mars looks like he's going to use Beebe as a pick, and he goes by. Mars in the 01. Hansen moves to the inside lane as well. Mars gets a little loose there in 3 and 4.
Sure did. Maybe has a little bit too much rear brake dialed into that thing, which kind of locks the back tires up a little bit on the way in, knocks the back end loose.
So Mars challenging Beebe now for 8th and gets the spot away. Hansen will go by. He'll move into 9th. Beebe will shuffle back to 10th. Garvey in the 1 car. Gunning for that spot on the inside, Brandon Sperling and Dave Sensiba, who was very quick this morning.
At the tail end of this cluster is a white car, number 6 of Dave Sensiba. He's got Generac sponsorship for the rest of the year. He's moved up from 19th to 13th, and he might be faster than all these guys. Just a matter of cycling through and getting his chance to pass.
Moving by the 92 there, Carroll Adamy on the inside. He's a lap car. He'll let the leaders go. Sensiba looks inside of Beebe. Adamy's going to slow him down, though. He'll have to take a look on the outside, and he does just that. Now Mars with Hansen pressing him. Mars is 8th. Hansen goes outside in the 99. We'll see how good that 99 car is, Butch.
An outside pass is unusual at this racetrack, and it looks like he can do it.
See Mars with the smoke coming off the left front there. I think you're right on the brake call.
I believe Mars has taken the rear brake out of it and moved it up to the front now.
Let's go back up front. Mike Eddy in the 88 is second. Tony Raines has moved right in on his back deck lid. You're on board with Eddy. Kenny Wallace remains the leader in the 55. Eddy trying to hang on. They lap by the 37 of David Anspaugh. Raines getting held up just a little bit there. Eddy about 3 car lengths ahead of the 74 for now. Wallace enjoying about a 1.5 seconds advantage over Mike Eddy at this point. There you see the leader. Kenny Wallace on the pole here today in Minnesota. And he has driven away from much of the rest of the field. Enjoying the Minnesota State Fair on Labor Day. Back live at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds, the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series on TNN Motorsports, the Miller Lite 300. Race leader is Kenny Wallace. Wallace working lap number 45. He has led from the drop of the green here today. Lapping by Carroll Adamy in the 92 down into 3. We've had a pass for second spot while we were away. Tony Raines is really on the charge. Another inside move on Mike Eddy here.
Absolutely. He's been trying to get underneath Mike for laps, several laps here. I still like the way that car goes nice and straight off the corner. Never, ever does he abuse the tires.
On board with Eddy down the back straightaway. Eddy is down in 3rd spot. One of the drivers who is normally a contender. We expected a good day out of today, but 9, and second place driver in the points, Tim Sauter. He's back on the racetrack. Ryan Drebber, what did they do to that car?
Flat left rear tire, guys. Veteran tire man Vic Getzloff put some air in it after they changed both left sides, and there's still air coming out of that one sitting on the rack in the infield. Bad deal for Tim Sauter having to pit under green.
Sauter has dropped all the way back to 27th with that green flag pit stop. Can you make up a lap if you make a green flag pit stop here?
Well, I think the only thing that would save him is if he stayed out and everybody else pitted under caution, maybe got into the head of the end of tail lead lap and trying to get his lap back that way with another quick caution.
It is early. We've got 250 of the 300 laps still to go. Gary St. Amant is 4th. Mike Miller is 5th. Miller trying to reel St. Amant in. St. Amant has quietly put together a good run today. Started 10th, climbed up to 4th here in the first 40 laps. So he seems to have a good race car today.
Gary's really good on a track like this. He's a very patient driver.
Trouble for Russ Tuttle, the 16. Tuttle of the Tyson Foods Chevrolet has spun. He's down on the infield. We've got caution on the Speedway. 3rd caution of the afternoon already. Tuttle has stopped. He's in a safe place down there for the moment, but they'd like to get the car off that portion of the grass. So we'll bring out the yellow flag. Tuttle will come to the attention of the infield folks, the safety crews here at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Get the 16 refired and back around the pit road for a quick check before we go racing one more time. So tough situation for Russ Tuttle. He was trying to make progress through the field back in 30th spot. See if we can show it to you one more time. This is coming off of turn 2 down the backstretch. Way off of power. Just looked as though he stepped on the gas coming out of the second corner and went right around on it.
Someone had to brake there the way he turned. He was slow going the right way, and all of a sudden it snapped around like as if he pivoted on the left rear if it locked up on him or something.
49 laps are on the board. The leaders will take advantage of the caution to come down pit road. Kenny Wallace, Tony Raines, Mike Eddy, top 3 drivers in the running order. Alec Pinsino will stay out on the racetrack. Wallace comes down pit road. They're going left side tires on the 55 and fuel. Jimmy Johnson is in. Gary St. Amant is in. Ricky Johnson, BB going by. Just about all of the top 20 or so cars are in. Wallace down and away first. St. Amant is down and away. He'll come off second, then Raines. Mike Garvey gains a lot of spots. Eddy, there's Sensiva. Brian Drebber, heavy traffic on pit road. What's going on down there?
Pretty much the usual stuff. The only thing, Butch Miller, you might be interested in, Tony Raines came in for rear tires only. And, of course, the very quick crew for Kenny Wallace got him in and out in a big hurry. So that's experience being shown once again.
I believe that Brian's right there. They're allowed 16 tires. In other words, the 4 they start on the race with, and then 12 more. Well, you very seldom do you wear out a left front tire. So you use one that's on the car plus 1 spare. The rest of the tires you put in the other 3 positions and change rears quite often.
Forward bite, very important coming off the corners here. That will tend to wear the rear tires. Fans enjoying a sun-splashed Labor Day at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds and ASA action on TNN. Welcome back to the Minnesota State Fair, St. Paul, Minnesota, the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series here on TNN Motorsports. Brandon Sperling took advantage of the pit road shuffle to jump off into the lead, but Kenny Wallace in the 55 is right behind him. Wallace came in first, leaves second. Raines dropped back a couple of spots. Eddie lost a couple of spots. St. Amant gained a little bit of ground. And Mike Miller held steady. Here's Wallace to the inside of Sperling to retake the point on lap 53. So give Kenny Wallace the lead down the back straightaway. St. Amant riding in third now. And he wants to get by Sperling in a hurry. St. Amant doing a great job keeping that car under him here in the early going. Gary makes the pass, needs a good run here today if he's going to get back in the hunt in terms of defending his ASA National Driving Championship. The 1998 title holder sitting fourth in points coming in here today, but almost 200 back. Won in Dover several weeks ago, back in June. Mike Garvey is on the move along with Mike Eddy. Garvey sixth. Eddy is seventh now after the pit stops. You're on board with Eddy. The Lite Chevrolet DuPont machine. Tim Sauter, we're told, in the 9 car got his lap back after that tire problem earlier. Carroll Adamy has spun up in turn 4 in the 92 car. Dan Spence with a caution flag in hand, and we are yellow once again.
Ideal for Tim Sauter. He came in under green. Everybody else on lead lap pitted. He got the tail end, got the jump on the leaders. Sperling did not pit. He's the only guy that didn't. That sent him to the back early, but Sauter now gets to come around to the tail, and he's back in the hunt.
Sauter being shown in 20th spot. Ted Musgrave working traffic nicely. Musgrave up to 19th position. Remember, he started back in 33rd in the 75 car. So we'll take a look at Musgrave as the afternoon wears on. Ted Musgrave Jr. is in the show here today as well. He's running 18th, right in front of Dad at the moment. Adamy back under power in the 92. Here it is. Looked like Sauter got into the back end of the 92 car.
That's
up in turn 4.
That's one way to get back in the tail in the lead lap, isn't it?
You might say a little tail happy there after that situation. Adamy back under power. He has not come to pit road as yet. Looks as though some of the field will come onto pit road. Leaders pitted last time around.
And the idea here is that you can get 4 fresh tires in a very short period of time. The ASA rule says only 2 tires per position under any caution. So with the cautions coming so quickly, if they change right, they might want to come in for less.
On board with Ricky Johnson in the 22 car, the Herzog Motorsports Chevrolet. Johnson leading the rookie points much of the year. This is the Nationwide Auction Systems machine. And a whole host of cars coming down pit road. Look at the jog on pit road there around where the stage is. That makes it very dicey for these cars coming onto pit road. Raines looks like he's come back onto pit road, as has Wallace, Miller, and St. Amant. Johnson. So again, it's the leaders. Downstairs, Brian Drever.
Well, another unusual tire change situation. Mike Miller and the Janikin crew changing left rear tire only. Gary St. Amant, very conventional, 2 tires on the right side. Miller just beats him out ever so slightly, but those 2 guys had a little bit different strategy going down here at the head of pit road.
Now this will shuffle the order again. Miller is off pit road ahead of Kenny Wallace. St. Amant comes off pit road 3rd. Kenny Wallace with help from his Busch Series team, the Ed Renzi group, here to help pit the 55 car today. Fans love the action here in Minnesota. We hope you're enjoying things too from the Minnesota State Fair. 1 to go till green here at the Minnesota State Fair. The Miller Lite 300 today on TNN Motorsports. Interesting situation developing. The caution came out. Tim Sauter got into the back end of the 92 of Carroll Adamy. Brought out the yellow. We thought that Sauter was going to get a lap back there. Don't know whether that happened intentionally or not, but the ASA officials brought Sauter onto pit road.
And actually, I believe they said the infraction was speeding on pit lane under that caution, so Tim had to come back down pit lane after the crew serviced the car, wait for the field to go past. He may be at the tail end of the lead lap unofficially, but that cost him a lot in track position because he was trying to get out ahead of everybody else and, you know, get up to the top 10 again. But I think he's going to have to start in the very back of this long single file restart.
Now in football and basketball, they talk about payback penalties. When the officials miss one call, they throw a flag on the next play, no matter what the call, what the situation. You almost think that might have been the case there. Brandon Sperling stays out on the racetrack. He is your restart leader here at the Minnesota State Fair. Sperling is up in front with Dave Sensima. Jimmy Mars in the 01 did not pit. He is 3rd. As we look a little deeper back in the field there. Now look at the 07 of Jack Landis. He should be 4th. The 72 of Ted Musgrave Jr. should be 5th. And Tristan Dupuis in the 11 car should be 6th. And we say should be because our computerized scoring has taken a brief break here. So we'll work with you just calling what we see on the racetrack. Wallace back in 7th. He's going to take a look inside Harold Fair in the 81. 3 wide down the backstretch. And Wallace gets by. That car is strong. He wants to get back to the front quickly.
Tremendous forward bite. You know, if he puts his foot down, the tire never slips. He just goes straight ahead. Ideal race car.
To the inside of Ted Smokestad for position down into turn 1. Up front, Sensiba working on Brandon Sperling. Closing in on 60 laps complete of 300 here this afternoon. Sensiba goes by. Give Dave Sensiba the lead. And Jim, I remember you mentioning this morning, Sensiba thought he had a really strong race car here today.
Very comfortable in the car. Crew chief Dave Taylor was pretty relaxed. And when those guys are relaxed, they're fast. They were fast at La Crosse, and he takes the point here. It's his 7th start here at the fair. He's been on the podium, but he has yet to win. He's got 8 runner-up finishes, and he's had some good runs at Minnesota specifically, but he'd like nothing better than to nail down his first one after being Rookie of the Year in '94.
You talk about prestigious races on the calendar. This is certainly one of them for ASA.
This race primarily has brought in the stars and like Dick Trickle, like Scott Hansen, like Tony Raines. If they go somewhere else, they come back. It's the first time Kenny Wallace has been in an ASA car since 1991. They made a car change in 1992 as a series, so he's still feeling things out. Sensiba, however, he's been in every race since 1994 and has a lot of experience. And you're right, bringing that bell at the end of this race would mean a lot to that Michigan driver.
Sensiba in the 6 is your leader. Sperling in the 40 is second. On that last cycle of pit stops, these cars did not come in for fresh tires, so you can look for them to have the handling start to go away in a little while perhaps, but so many drivers told us that 10 laps or so on a set of tires that it doesn't matter how old they are. The 79 car, they've had some problems here today. Jimmy Price out of Georgia, he slipped around, gone up high, half spun a couple of times. Back underway right now, not on the lead lap. And Ted Musgrave making an unscheduled pit stop under green in that Ford, the 75 car. Musgrave slowly down pit road. There is a speed limit, of course, here. He'll blend back in. Up in front, still Sensiba in the 6. Sperling in the 40. Running 1 and 2. In third, looks like Wallace is starting to rumble again in the 55 car. Sensiba off at a bridesmaid, not yet a bride. Could today be the day? We're in the first third of the action here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Beautiful day for racing. We've mentioned beautiful place to come for a race. You come through the campus of the University of Minnesota. The fairgrounds is really right on the campus for all intents and purposes. Sperling with Wallace all over him. Now the battle for 4th. Mike Miller has the spot. Gary St. Amant is 5th in the 7. Jack Landis is 6th in the 07. Landis is not on the same pit stop cycle as our Miller and St. Amant. These two cars have stopped for tires at the same point in the race so far. St. Amant, the defending series champion. Miller leading the point standings this year. Wants his first championship in 1999. 73 laps are on the board here in Minneapolis. St. Paul, we should say. I mentioned Minneapolis yesterday, and I was chastised by a local race fan here this morning on race day yesterday. We mentioned we were coming to Minneapolis, and that's the airport we flew into last night. But the racetrack is, of course, in St. Paul.
You think they'd be kinder, seeing as that they call it the Twin Cities. You know, yeah. It's kind of a, I guess if you don't live here, it doesn't really seem to make much of a difference, right?
St. Amant to the inside of Miller for position. Now to turn 2 down the backstretch. Artfully around the lap car of David Anspaugh there for position to give St. Amant the spot. Brandon Sperling is directly in front of these two veterans. Sperling's a guy who needs a good finish, and so far they have run very well here. They're using a little different pit and tire strategy today, too. Look at this for the lead. Kenny Wallace. He's reeled Dave Sensiba in now as they work through 3 and 4. And we've got trouble. Jimmy Mars, who had such a good run going in the 01 car. The Parker Stores machine out of the Lefebvre Racing Shops. Mars has spun in turn 2, and we have the yellow flag waving once again. The ASA pace car, the Pontiac Grand Prix, is moving. Caution on the Speedway. That is our 5th of the afternoon so far, and Mars with a cut down left rear. It looked as though the car was out of balance when he came into the corner.
Something did not look right, and it kind of spun a different direction than it normally should. something that a left rear tire would cause.
So Mars will come around on the rim and make a quick pit stop for rubber, and take a look at Jimmy Mars here down into turn 1. Looked like the tire let go right around that point.
You can tell by how far up the right front of the car is sitting, and the left rear is down. The way he's skating around here, the tire you can see is already off the wheel, and wild ride for the former dirt star.
I was going to say that looked like a dirt track move there. I thought he would have been able to keep the car straight with all his dirt track experience. There you can see the soft left rear tire just about to peel off the rim as he comes through 1 and 2. Mars with a good quick spin to the inside, gets it out of the way quickly, and gets the car refired to come around to the attention of the Lefebvre Racing team. So a lot of the lead cars will take advantage. Tim Sauter comes on pit road. Dave Sensiba comes on pit road. Sensiba had the lead. Hood is up on Ted Musgrave's car. St. Amant, Mars has changed his left rear tire that was causing the problem. Brian Drebber to pit road.
Well, Dave Sensiba's crew's coming in. They stayed out on the track for position, but crew chief Dave Taylor says we don't have anything for Kenny Wallace unless we change tires. Now, Gary St. Amant also comes in this time. He's going to change the left sides. That gives him 4 relatively fresh tires. Meanwhile, of course, Mike Miller, who came in with St. Amant a while ago, stays out on the racetrack. They're lined up at the end of pit road with Jimmy Mars gets away first, then St. Amant, then Sensiba. Tim Sauter was in again, along with Brandon Sperling and Tristan Dupuis.
So the field under caution for the 5th time this afternoon. Harold Fair in the 81. Ted Smokestad in the 10. It'll be Kenny Wallace up front again in the 55 car, your pole sitter today. Mike Miller in the Jana King Pontiac will restart right behind Wallace. We're going to take a timeout. Still under caution at the Minnesota State Fair. Back with plenty more in a moment. As we said at the top of the broadcast, they come to the Minnesota State Fair by the tens of thousands, and Jimmy got a chance to sample some of the many foods on a stick here.
Pork chop on a stick, hot dog on a stick, corn dogs, of course. That's an egg roll on a stick. I didn't see the pizza on the stick, but I understand, Rick, you're going for some walleye on a stick after this is over?
Well, I've heard talk that there is such a thing here. I can't quite talk myself into enjoying it, but the cheese on a stick was another one that I thought was quite the... and a map on a stick.
Go for the jalapeno on the stick if you can.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I've lived in Texas. No jalapenos for this reporter. Thank you. 81 laps are on the board. Wallace will be your restart leader. Miller and Mike Garvey will go third. Then Landis, Jimmy Johnson, Mike Eddy, Rick Beebe, Ted Musgrave Jr., Tony Raines, Jimmy Johnson, and the 99 of Scott Hansen. Here's your battle up in front. Mike Miller with an engine that may not be the strongest. This was their 2nd engine in the car today. He's right behind Wallace as they haul it off into 3.
I was a little concerned the last time they had the in-car camera that the motor sounded a little like maybe on 5 cylinders, but it sounds perfect here.
Bush, we were talking at the top of the show and before we came on the air today, the front straightaway here has a little dip going down into turn 1. Talk about odd configurations of racetracks. I also noticed the fence that separates pit road from the front stretch coming off 4. Is that a place you have to be careful coming out of turn 4?
It's a little bit intimidating. See how close you run to that thing?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you try and run right off on the bottom of the racetrack. Well, if you get that left side down a little bit, you have to make a right to make a left to go down the straightaway. And it just, you know, you end up closer than you'd like to be.
Battling up front, Kenny Wallace has led just about all the way after starting on the pole. Mike Miller started a little deeper in the field. He has reeled in Wallace and is right up on the back decklet. Brian Trevor, how happy are they with the way the 18 car is running with that 2nd engine of the day in there?
Well, the way they look to me, they look awful happy indeed. Crew Chief Carl Hyland up on the war wagon there. Jackman Mike Schroeder just hanging out. Everybody looking good. They say, hey, that old engine is just fine. We've got 3 races on the motor we had to stick in there this morning in short order, but it won the last 2 races under the hood of this race car. They wanted Anderson and they wanted Berlin with the engine that's out there chasing Kenny Wallace right now.
And Miller takes a look outside of Wallace coming off 2. Mike's 14th trip here. He's only 40 miles from the town he grew up in. A couple of wins over the years and 9 top 10s. He's led more than 400 laps at this racetrack. Kenny Wallace making his 7th start at the fairgrounds. 1 top 5, 4 top 10s over the years, including a 5th back in 1990. So Wallace also looking to get off the schneid here at the Minnesota State Fair, grab his first win in that 55 car. He has been strong so far here today.
And his Winston Cup teammate Kenny Schrader not only fields a team in this series, but up until a couple of years ago, competed on a handful of times in ASA. So he may have done some homework. Again, as I mentioned, they might come here to have some fun, but you know Kenny Wallace wants to win this deal.
Ken Schrader making an interesting trip this race weekend. He's gone to Los Angeles to compete in a street race today with a couple of other notables in motorsports in a Featherlight Southwest Tour event in the NASCAR Touring Series ranks. Tony Raines to the inside of Jimmy Johnson, battling for 5th spot. Rick Beebe is there as well. He wants to get by Johnson. Now Raines has been up as high as 2nd earlier. Off the pit stop cycle, he lost several spots last time, but Raines starting to move to the front of the field once again. Johnson and Beebe door to door for 6th. Beebe had run high on the racetrack early. He's moved inside. Johnson has not been able to keep the 44 car down low really since we started.
No, not really. And what you do here, when your car is a little bit loose, which is what Johnson's appears to be, you let the car run up the track, and then you kind of diamond the corner a little bit, and you get it a little bit, you keep it straighter, you can go forward a little bit better. But second groove isn't going to work real good for him.
Scotty Hansen has moved in on the back decklet too of Beebe in the 23. Hansen in the 99 starting to charge. He wants to turn inside of Beebe, looking 3 wide going into 3 here. Hansen will back out of it. Let Beebe stick with Johnson as they work out of 4. Closing in on 100 laps here this afternoon of 300 at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Beebe and Johnson still side by side. Now Hansen with a shot. Beebe pushes up the track. Hansen's got to grab 2 spots here as they come off of turn 2. Gary St. Amant will get himself in the thick of this one as well. Boy, Hansen is a master at this racetrack.
He really is. He's always been good here, and that's because of his driving style. I think he's not one of those kinds that just stands on the gas. Smooth on the gas, smooth off the gas, easy on the tires. And
Scott Hansen is a man possessed this weekend. He told me 1 week ago if he would happen to win his 3rd consecutive Miller Lite 300 here at the fair, he said it might even mean more to him this year than his first win in ASA 24 races ago. Wow. 24 wins ago, excuse me.
Gary St. Amant blows by Jimmy Johnson on the outside, so the Pennzoil Chevrolet clearly off the pace at this point in the race. Now, it's a long afternoon. We've got a lot of laps to run here, so don't count Jimmy Johnson out, but he is backpedaling at the moment. St. Amant inside Beebe. The Wins Chevrolet has been stout here today as well. Gary's been up as high as 2nd here in the early going.
He's been in 13 of these fair races, and he knows it's a matter of finishing these events. If the car just isn't right, or if you can get a pass on a car, take it while you can, because you can see he's getting a bit quicker than Beebe here, and he might have been penalizing himself by staying behind him. So as Gary tries to catch the next guys, he's not going to peel the tires off catching them. He's going to run his own consistent pace and maybe even run the racetrack for a while and race against the track versus the competition.
Wallace in the 55, Miller in the 18, running 1 and 2. Kenny Wallace has been the class of the field here today on a beautiful Labor Day afternoon in St. Paul, Minnesota. Welcome back to the Minnesota State Fair. We've got a new leader. Mike Miller has worked his way by Kenny Wallace in traffic down in turns 1 and 2. So give Miller, the series point leader, the edge here this afternoon. Wallace will stick right with him. We've passed the 100 lap mark. Mike Eddy rides 3rd. Scott Hansen is 4th. Tony Raines, Gary St. Amant, Mike Garvey, Rick Beebe, Ricky Johnson, Jimmy Johnson, and a tangle up in turn 1. Alec Pinsino has hooked up with the 95 car of Gordy Swanson from Apple Valley, Minnesota. They have tangled and slid toward the wall. Swanson gets his car pointed in the right direction. Not a lot of damage, evidently, to the 95 car, making his first career ASA appearance here today. But Pinsino, for the 2nd time today, in trouble in the Build-A-Mold Chevrolet. He caused the first caution of the afternoon way back, shortly after we came on the air with that damage to the left front corner. Didn't look as though Alec did much damage to the 93 car this time either. But we are under caution once again here today at Minnesota. This is how Mike Miller got the lead a moment ago. Kenny Wallace pretty much let him go, it looked like, going down into 3. And here is the tangle just a moment ago with Swanson and Pinsino coming together as they raced off into turn 1.
Almost looked like Swanson just kind of lost it a little bit on the way in, and Pinsino just had no choice but to try and go around the outside of it.
Very gentle contact, you'd say, between the 95 and the 93 car, and Mike Miller will head to pit road. Leaders coming down pit road. Still early. We haven't even gotten to halfway yet today. Eddie will hurry to the attention of his crew. You could come for 2 tires. 16 tires you've got to work with today. 2 per stop. So you can make a bunch of stops and change 1 or 2. And certainly working the cautions and keeping fresh rubber on the right rear especially very critical here.
And what rookie Derek Gilchrist told me before the races, he may even stay out longer than he thought he could on a set of tires because track position later on will be critical. You might want to put 2 tires on. You might want to change the rear stagger, but you sacrifice that track position. And these guys are all doing what they can now to get their setup right for a long run.
Mike Miller was the leader coming out of pit road, but he lost several stops on that pit stop shuffle. Tony Raines gets out in front of Miller. Several other cars did as well. So Mike Miller in front of the hometown fans here. His pit crew normally among the very quickest in ASA competition, but that time things did not go the way they wanted them to. So Gary St. Amant will jump to the head of the class now for the restart. As we've got 106 laps complete, 194 remaining, and we are still under caution at the Minnesota State Fair. Back at the Minnesota State Fair, and a reminder that wrenchhead.com is your ultimate online automotive superstore, the only site you need for all your automotive repair and maintenance and performance parts. Visit them today, www.wrenchhead.com on the World Wide Web. Huge crowd, capacity crowd as always here at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds in St. Paul. 1 lap till the restart. Dan Spence holding the green flag aloft off the flag stand as they come down the front straightaway here. Restart leader will be Gary St. Amant. Mike Garvey will go second in the 1 car. Kenny Wallace will restart in 3rd. Mike Miller had some problems during that stop on pit road. We'll show you what happened. They're changing rear tires, and the air hose gets caught under the front of that machine. Crew rolls Mike's car back so they can get the hose off. Jim, why is that so important?
Well, if the car runs over an air hose, you will get penalized by ASA officials that bring the car back in for a stop and go. It's almost like if you're overshooting your pit box or anything along that line. There is an infraction incurred. Miller's lucky he was able to lose just a few spots and not have to come back down pit lane and lose a lot more.
Buddy Gainey in the 4 as a lapped car on the inside, restarting on lap 110, 190 to go. Jimmy Price in the 79. Look at this. St. Amant's going to try it 3 wide to get through the traffic. Mike Garvey in the 1 car bidding for the lead, coming out of 2. Here comes Wallace in the white number 55. St. Amant made that work somehow. He's still on the outside of Price. Price a lapped car in the 79. St. Amant makes it work. Strong run for Gary St. Amant to get back to the head of the class. On board with Mike Eddy in the 88 car. He is 4th. Wallace directly in front of the 55 is 3rd. Garvey is 2nd in the 1. St. Amant is your leader. Stout move by Gary St. Amant.
Really was. The only thing that made that appear to be, he's 3 wide on the outside. However, that was his teammate on the inside, and he kind of felt a little bit safe there.
St. Amant has been 2nd twice here at the Minnesota State Fair, including 1 year ago. Would dearly love to get a victory today for a couple of reasons. Not just to get his first win in Minnesota, but also to get back into the point chase with 3 races to go.
Gary really needs that pick-me-up as Milwaukee was not his best run. He ended up in the 16th position, really a non-factor. But for Gary to get back in this hunt, last year he recalls how he clicked off 6 top 3 finishes to end his championship season. He needs to get back on the podium. A podium would be good here. A win would even be better for that wins team.
St. Amant opening up an advantage now, about 7 or 8 car lengths over Garvey as they haul it off down the main straightaway. On board with Ken Alexander in the 03 car, the CEO of Grease Lightning, who has shown a lot of improvement of late, especially since Dick Anderson joined his crew. Take a look at the back end of this car. We take a look at the suspension cam on the Grease Lightning Chevrolet. Of course, we're taking a look at the rear quick change and how it's working, the exhaust there as he hauls it down into the corners. What should we be watching here?
Well, there really isn't a whole lot to see here. That little chrome thing looking up in the up that looks like an oil tank is actually a fuel filter. So, you can see the exhaust pipe in the lower right-hand corner. But, all in all, there isn't a whole lot to be seen here. Doesn't look like he's having any kind of trouble.
We were talking about how bumpy this racetrack might be. Seems to be pretty smooth, the line he's running here.
It really is. However, there's a bump going into 1, and you can see it a little bit better on some of the in-car cameras. Right there, just going into 1. That's where the tunnel goes underneath the racetrack.
Now this link that's up ahead here, the link on the left side of the screen that goes up and over the drive shaft to the other side, what's the purpose of that?
That's called the track bar. That keeps the rear end centered underneath between the frame rails and underneath the body. And by raising and lowering that track bar, you can see where you can move it up and down on the ends there. You actually change the handling of the car. Going up makes the car looser. Going down makes the car tighter.
We talk a lot during pit stops about track bar adjustments, and that's a look at how one sits in the race car and just exactly what you can do with it from Professor Butch Miller. We appreciate that. Onboard Alexander riding down the front straightaway. Gordy Swanson, who spun a few moments ago in the 95, back under power. Riding behind Alexander right now. Alexander deep in the field here today. Hasn't had the best of afternoons so far. Sitting back in 23rd spot right behind Buddy Gainey. A lap down to the leaders. Taking a look at Harold Fair, Ted Musgrave Jr., Jimmy Price. The 10 with Ted Smokestad on board today. Smokestad also has struggled. He's 21st. Gainey in the 4 is 22nd. Alexander trying to work his way around those machines and pick up a couple of spots and climb toward the top 20. Beautiful setting for a speedway here. We've talked about the fairgrounds atmosphere and how much fun that is, but Minnesota being the land of 10,000 lakes. Lots of greenery around here. The campus, that's part of the University of Minnesota you see there over the wall in turn 3. Gorgeous campus. We drove onto the fairgrounds today through the campus area, and it's just a lovely place to come to college, you would think. There's your leader, Gary St. Amant, working by Tim Taylor, who has not run well today. Taylor in the 28 has been off the pace just about all day. And back a little deeper in the field, Scott Hansen giving some hand signals there to Mike Miller as they battle for 7th. Hansen goes by on the inside. Miller really starting to backpedal now. He is not running well at all at the moment.
Well, Mike Miller has not changed his left front tire, which is not widely used here, if I understand correctly. He changed a left rear under a caution. Came in and had the right side tire change. Hansen probably has a better car right now because his tires are better. Maybe that left front. Butch, does that play a factor here on this flat track?
You can't run all 300 laps with one left front. But it doesn't look like Mike's having a problem with the front end. It looks more like the back end is not wanting to stay underneath the car.
So Mike Miller, who led several laps not very long ago, has dropped all the way back to 8th spot now. Hansen in the green machine there, the 99, is up to 7th, right in front of those cars. The blue and white 99 make that 74 of Tony Raines, who was so strong earlier. Raines rides 6th, and he's starting to get going here again.
Yeah, I'm watching Mike Miller's car. In the last pit stop, he...
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at him work that wheel.
Right, he changed right sides last time, and I think the tire that's really bad on the car is the left rear, and it'll make it do this right here. Watch my too many rights. No fun, not a good time, nervous.
When you got to grab a lot of steering wheel, that's usually an indication your car is not handling the way you'd like it to. Mike keeping the car down on the low side of the racetrack here, on the gas early. Oh, we've got a spin. Tony Raines has gone around right in front of Miller. Raines in the 74 car running in 6th spot, lost it in 1 and 2. Looks like he's got a little wheel donut there on the right side of the car. Tony gets it pointed in the right direction. Just went around on him. It looked as though coming off with 2, he just let it get out from underneath him.
That doesn't happen to Tony Raines. Something happened. I don't believe he lost it on his own.
Try to get another look at it here. There is a scuff mark on the passenger side door. Here it is again. Scott Hansen on the inside of Raines, and they may have tangled.
Well, maybe he didn't see the famous Scott Hansen signal before.
Ironically, both of those cars come out of the same shop prepared by Toby Nudelman, so if he had any team orders, they went out the window there. They're out of fight for their own now.
So Raines will come around. Now, would that damage his tire spinning like that? He got on the throttle hard to get going again.
Absolutely, but it didn't damage the car, at least. It damaged the tires, but by standing on the gas and standing on the gas at the right time, you can save the car.
Under caution once again, 127 laps are on the board.
We see damage on the right front of Hansen's car. Not too much cosmetic, but it certainly does plead him guilty on this whole case of getting into Raines up at 2.
Hansen was on a rail down low. Looked like he thought he could get by Raines coming out of 2, and there was contact. Raines went around. Back under caution at the Minnesota State Fair. You, of course, have your television locked on TNN all day long, because coming up, the finals of the NHRA's Big Go, the U.S. Nationals from Indianapolis Raceway Park. Coming up next, part of TNN's 18 Hours of Bull. You'll see who the winners are. Drag racing's biggest event from Indy right after we conclude here this afternoon at the Minnesota State Fair. Packed house as always. Lots of action on pit road after that skirmish between Scott Hansen and Tony Raines. Brian Drebber, you were in the middle of a very busy place just a few moments ago.
Well, guys, it stays busy down here during the Minnesota State Fair, and 300 laps of this place are going to take their toll on car cars and tires for sure. They came in, Mike Garvey changed left sides, Mike Eddy right sides, or make that the other way around. That's where I was hanging out. Of course, down at the other end of pit road and pit out, Mike Miller came in, and, you know, everybody's just trying to get set up, I think, for the last part of this race. They have taken what they have for the early part. Kenny Wallace for sure has plenty of race car. He has let both Mike Eddy and Mike Miller pass him just to see what they had. You might see Kenny Wallace just riding for a while until this one starts to wind down.
Not quite to halfway yet. We're 20 laps short of the crossed flags here this afternoon at Minnesota. Next Sunday, the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series returns to TNN Motorsports. We'll be live from Jennerstown Speedway in Pennsylvania for 300 laps of action. Looking forward to that. Our first trip, my first trip anyway, to Jennerstown, and an annual stop for the ASA Series. Looking forward to getting there. We'll be bringing you race day, of course, next Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern. Tim Sauter, your restart leader. He's managed to play the pit stop game to perfection so far. After that stop-and-go penalty and that tangle with Carol Adamy, he's back out in front as we start lap number 132 of 300 here today. Sauter, your restart leader. Eddie Hoffman, whose name we haven't called yet today, is second. Brandon Sperling, who's working a different pit stop cycle, is third. The 01 of Jimmy Mars is not on the lead lap after that tire problem he had earlier. Mars trying to get back on the lead lap. Fourth in traffic right now. Sperling holding on to second, getting by Hoffman for the spot. Look at the 75, Ted Musgrave Sr., also not on the lead lap, trying to get by and get back on the lead lap. He's being shown about 12 laps down. He was on pit road earlier with a hood up and motor problems. Mars now to the inside of the 5 of Hoffman. Mars in that green and black 01 machine out of the LeFevre Racing shops. The Wisconsin youngster doing a nice job. Give him the spot as he works his way to the front, trying to get on the lead lap, get by the leader here. Ted Musgrave trying to get a lap back as well.
Just a moment ago, guys, Michigan veteran Harold Fair pulled behind the wall. He dropped to 12th in points after Milwaukee, and he's going to lose more spots. Harold Fair appears to be out of the race.
Brian Drever, you were watching while they were working on Ted Musgrave's 75 car. What happened down there?
Well, normally you would expect when the hood goes up that it would be motor problems. In this case, something much less serious, but no less damaging in a way. They had to go to work on the tie rod. It was loose. They simply had to tighten it up and get it back in working order there. So the motor's just fine. Now the suspension is good, too.
Looks as though Musgrave's starting to find some speed in that car. We mentioned earlier, this is a one-day show for ASA. They unloaded here early this morning, practiced for an hour, had to make whatever adjustments you can make in that short period of time to qualify, and then thrash hard to get ready for the race. Battling for third, St. Amant in the 7th car has the spot. Eddie Hoffman trying to get by him. St. Amant will roll by and pull away. Working his way toward Brandon Sperling. Here comes Mike Garvey. Garvey is 5th. He wants 4th. Mike Miller is on the move now. Kenny Wallace is back there as well in 7th and charging. Taking a look at the number 1 car from the front end of Mike Miller's machine. So you've got Garvey up in 4th, Miller now in 5th, Hoffman in 6th, Wallace in 7th. There's Eddie in the 88 car in 8th. Jimmy Johnson and Hansen a little further back, running 9th and 10th, on board with Mike Eddy. Teammate Ted Smokestack to the outside of that car. Kind of a dog's eye view of things as they come down the front straightaway. Eddie rolls by the inside of Hoffman.
Hoffman is one of 4 drivers that stayed out and did not pit. We see how quickly those 10 laps make. After the pit stop, 10 laps are all the difference, and then the tires start evening out again. But Hoffman is certainly going back quickly because he did not pit.
Eddie now up to 7th. Jimmy Johnson moves to 8th. Hansen takes 9th. That shuffles Hoffman all the way back to 10th as they cycle through. Dave Sensiva starting to rumble once again. He's sitting 11th there in the 6th car. Looked very quick when he led several laps earlier today. He's been trying to find that speed again and get back toward the front. What about Tony Raines? Raines is stuck back in 13th of the 74 car. Garvey and Miller dueling going down into turn 1. This is for 4th. Garvey trying to hold on, but Miller will root him out on the inside and get the spot. Mike Miller starting to rumble once again.
And Butch, we saw how wide that backstretch was used by Mike Miller. Garvey didn't have a whole lot of room to the outside, but there are 2 lanes. But you had mentioned before the race, you were talking about how wide that backstretch is. Is it deceiving, or is it enough room for everybody?
That backstretch is the widest of any racetrack I know of. It is the widest in the history of racetrack. However, it's not wide enough, because you still, coming off that corner, the car just starts to gobble up the racetrack, and you get out to the wall way sooner than you want to.
Garvey and Eddie now battling for 5th, and Eddie goes by. So Mike Garvey may be working a little different tire cycle as well. Looks like his car's slowing down. Gordy Swanson in the 95 on the inside of your screen in the racetrack, way off the pace. He drops way low. On board with Eddie, working out of turn 4. As we continue to give you a look at scoring up in the top left of your screen. Eddie in the 88 car is 6th. The 9 car, Tim Sauter. The 40 of Brandon Sperling. And Gary St. Amant in car number 7. He is 3rd. Sperling is 2nd. Not for long. Sauter, your leader, he's going to give it up here to St. Amant. So Gary St. Amant takes the Wins Chevrolet to the high side and grabs the lead once again. 2nd time today. Sauter was able to stay out in front after the last cycle of pit stops for give him about 20 laps at the head of the class, but St. Amant is strong.
Indeed, it was Sauter, Hoffman, Sperling, and Musgrave Jr. staying out, and they're drifting back.
Sperling now is 3rd. Tim Sauter hanging on to 2nd. Mike Miller is coming hard in the 18, as is Kenny Wallace in the 55. Your top 5 are on the backstretch. 155 trips to go. The halfway signal will be seen shortly at the Minnesota State Fair.
Heading towards Gary St. Amant to talk with Bill.
Action all over the racetrack. Gary St. Amant is your leader in car number 7. He has opened up a big advantage, almost 2 seconds over Mike Miller, who has climbed back into 2nd spot. There's the gap down the backstretch. Miller riding 2nd. Wallace has moved up to 3rd on the 55. He's gotten around Sauter, and Brandon Sperling now has moved back to 4th. Eddie is up to 5th. Sauter is 6th. Garvey is 7th and trying to make a move on Sauter here for 6th position.
Again, Sauter was leading after staying out on that caution. We saw how quickly he's drifted back in the clutches, and Garvey's easily able to get by on the outside to come to Chevy.
So give Garvey 6th position. Tim Sauter drops back to 7th. Eddie to the inside of Sperling. As they come out of 4, Eddie will take 4th back by a fender as they move into turn 1. Action everywhere here at the Minnesota State Fair. And for a racetrack that really is one groove in the corners, tons of passing everywhere you look here.
It's a terrific racetrack to race on. It's fun because there's always a place to pass. However, it's usually not the outside. Unless what you see right now is you see passing on the outside, but it's because the tires are mismatched. Car on the inside, usually their tires are no good anymore, and the outside car has new tires.
Got to look at your race recap there at halfway. We've passed across flags, 148 to go. Brandon Sperling, Tim Sauter, Mike Garvey, all trailing Mike Eddie at the moment, who's gotten back up to 4th spot. Still St. Amant, Mike Miller, Kenny Wallace, 1, 2, and 3. Scott Hansen trying to get back into the mix here. Hansen is back in 8th in that green 99 car. Looks like he's starting to push a little bit in the center of the corner. You see him with the wheel turned a little bit more than he might like to in the middle of the turn there. Take a look back a little further. Jimmy Johnson goes by. He's 11th. Rick Beebe in the 23 is 12th. And look behind him. You've got Ricky Johnson in the 22. Then Jack Landis in the 07. Eddie Hoffman and Derek Gilchrist in the 52. That battle for Rookie of the Year, Jim, really an interesting one. You've got Gilchrist with the 3 wins. Ricky Johnson, the master of consistency.
Johnson had an over 150-point lead at one point in the rookie chase. Now it's down to less than 100 amongst himself, Tristan Dupuis, and Gilchrist. Now 10th overall in points, 99 behind Rick Johnson, we're riding along with.
And Eddie Hoffman has spun at turn 4 at the entrance to pit road. Hoffman in the 5 car was up front earlier, dropped back to 18th. He is working a different pit stop sequence than the leaders. He'd used that to his advantage a couple of times to be up front. Hoffman gets it straightened out. Don Finetti Structural Transport Ford back underway, but we are under caution. Our 8th of the afternoon here on lap 156. So everybody settles back down. 300. St. Amant and Miller drop into the inside. The ASA official safety car is out on the racetrack, the Pontiac Grand Prix. St. Amant will lead the leaders, it looks like, onto pit road. Is this one of those situations, Butch, if you see the leader go, you want to go too?
Well, absolutely. Especially, you got to remember, Gary St. Amant was much faster than everybody else, so actually his tires are better. He's putting on even better tires. He best go in.
St. Amant comes down pit road. There's Mike Miller going to the outside to the attention of his crew, to Brian Drever.
Well, I'm standing up on the war wagon with crew chief Bill McGowan. Ever since Gary St. Amant won at Dover, it's been a running joke. I never talked to those guys once during the race. They banned me from their pit ever since. But I'll tell you what, this time they got out in a big hurry. Bill McGowan applauding his crew as the Wins team put the Chevrolet from second spot, or from the lead, back out in the lead of the cars that pitted.
Very quick pit stop for the Automotive Promotions crew. They have won the first 3 rounds of the McDonald's Pit Stop Challenge in ASA competition this year. The finals coming up at the season finale at Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina in October, showing you again why they are so quick. Back live in St. Paul, Minnesota, the Minnesota State Fairgrounds, the Miller Lite 300 today for the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series here on TNN Motorsports. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jim Trano and Butch Miller are alongside. Ryan Drever's on pit road. Here's why we're under caution. Eddie Hoffman in the 5-car spinning. You get an onboard look from Ken Alexander's Grease Lightning Chevrolet. Hoffman just had to get away from him there as he got on the gas to come off of turn 4. Eddie back underway with fresh rubber. 1 lap till green, the indication from Dan Spence. 160 around the board, 140 to go. Up at the top of the charts now, Scott Hansen will be a restart leader in the 99. He's won the last 2 races here at the Minnesota State Fair on Labor Day in 97 and 98. Gunning for 3 in a row, only an infrequent ASA competitor this year, making his 4th start of the season. Jack Landis and Tristan Dupuis will line up second and third. They did not stop either. Everybody else on the lead lap did. Gary St. Amant had been the leader. He restarts in 4th spot, 5th in the running order, but 4th in scoring, and we're back underway with 138 laps to go. Take a look back at Kenny Wallace, restarting 7th. Hansen, Landis, Dupuis, and St. Amant, who has had the fastest car in the last 30 laps by far. He'll look to the inside of Dupuis, wants 3rd spot. Mike Garvey now in the 1 car, very strong. Garvey ahead of Mike Miller at the moment. They are 5th and 6th. Wallace is 7th. Taking a look inside of the 55 car. Butch, I've got to think that Kenny Wallace is not showing nearly all the hand of cards that he has to play here today.
I don't know if he's capable of holding back. If Kenny's car will go to the front, he's going to go to the front. Now, maybe, but I don't think so. In all the years I've known Kenny, if the thing will go to the front, he's going.
Well, he's going right now. He's gone by Dupuis, he's gone by Mike Eddy, and he's gone by Mike Miller. On board the Jana King Pontiac, sitting behind Tristan Dupuis at the moment. Miller restarting back at 8th. He'll swing around Dupuis on the high side as they come down the front stretch. Garvey is directly ahead in 6th. Miller now 7th. Wallace to the inside of that lapped car, Tim Taylor's machine. Jack Landis rides 3rd. Wallace is 4th. Eddie now 5th. Landis goes up high. Wallace's 55 car working well down low. We watch Garvey and Miller. Jimmy Johnson, Dave Sensiba move in. Johnson is 8th, Sensiba 9th. And there's Eddie down the backstretch, and Gary St. Amant to the inside of Hansen for the lead.
That's the new tires again. You know, this track, it's just so old that it's like it has little fingers that just tear the rubber right off the carcass of the tire. And new tires just beat everything.
The cheese grater effect, you call it, right, Jim?
Well, I'm from the neighboring state of Wisconsin, but there's only 5/32 of an inch of tread on these tires when they come from the factory from Goodyear. So there's not a lot of tire tread on there to begin with. There's no grooves in the tire. But what you'll find is that the 5/32 is over, as we know, Butch, it's going to be ultra important to keep that car settled where all 4 tires may wear in some even pattern.
Top 4 cars, you're looking at them from on board the Eaton Chevrolet and the DuPont car, Mike Eddy. He is 4th. Wallace directly ahead 3rd, looking inside Hansen, who's 2nd, the green car there on the outside of your picture. At a spin, Jack Landis has gone around again in the 07. Landis has spun the Noah Yoder Ford with 132 laps remaining and smoke showing from the front end of that car. Just a little bit of tire and brake smoke, it appears.
One observation, the last 2 cautions have been brought out by cars, single car spins. Eddie Hoffman stayed out and did not pit. Jack Landis, one of 3 cars that did not pit that last sequence. I'm wondering if he's either had to overdrive or just flat out losing traction to the point of spinning and causing cautions.
Well, certainly if your tires are going to glaze over or go away from you here, and you've got to be so gentle on and off the gas, if you get on it just a little too hard, that could be enough to send you around. Certainly looked like what caused Eddie Hoffman to spin earlier. And it seems to be the same situation for Jack Landis. Jack, though, may have more terminal problems than that. He has taken the helmet off, pulling the earplugs out. Hasn't dropped the window net yet, but we did see the smoke showing from the front of the car, so perhaps the motor has packed up in the 07. We'll take a look at it here. Middle of the pack at turns 1 and 2. You see the car off pace there, coming off of turn 2, as though the motor might have given up. Jack waving everybody by, goes to the inside of the track and then just loses it going into the corner. Might have been some moisture on the tires there.
Well, actually, I believe what happened is whatever broke there, the motor, the transmission, actually locked the rear tires up, and that's what caused the spin going in.
So under caution again, lap 170, 130 to go. Gary St. Amant, your race leader, will bring the lead cars back down pit road. The Bud Gibbon crew will go to the left side. It's Brian Drepper.
Well, down here in the pit of Jack Landis, Noah Yoder says he thinks they lost the power steering, but there's a lot of concerned looks on their faces. Meanwhile, right next door at Scott Hansen's pit, both Craig and Lisa Smokestad, who worked with Scott, are discussing whether or not they're going to come in. They did not come in last time, and of course, they're on older tires. They say they want to stop 2 or 3 more times and hopefully end up with right sides. Rights, lefts, and rights. That's the strategy they want. They have enough laps left. Question is, will they get enough cautions?
Talking to Hansen on the radio right now. He's on the racetrack in 4th spot as we are under caution. Jack Landis' machine getting a push back to the garage area. So his afternoon is complete. Interesting pit strategy. A lot of these teams are working. Not everybody on the same tire cycle with 130 laps to go. Midways are packed here at the Minnesota State Fair, and the lines at some of these rides are incredibly long. Kids of all ages enjoying the slide, the Merry Mixer, the Scrambler, and some of the other rides here. And some of our guys even got a chance to enjoy some of the wilder rides.
Is that you, Butch?
No, that wasn't me. I was on that little with the bear he rode around on. That was me.
That was a bungee cord type of thing, but some of our crew guys dubbed that dope on a rope. I think that's what you would have had to be to ride on that particular device. Getting ready to restart. Brian Trevor downstairs with Jack Landis.
Well, and Rick, that dope on a rope would be me. That would be that was me out there. But right now I'm with Jack Landis, and ride of a different kind out there. Jack, at first Noah said he thought it was power steering. That must have been wishful thinking. Turned out to be worse.
Yeah, it was wishful thinking. All right, we had our whole bottom pulley on the front of the crank fell off, which has a power steering pulley, and unfortunately has a oil pump pulley on it too, and it's laying out there on the racetrack somewhere. I'm thinking we burnt this one up.
That's going to be a tough break for Jack. Jack, you had such a great start to this season. This is just not the way you expected it to end up.
No, I didn't hear what you said on the last part, but I heard the first part. It was a great start to the season. In the last half, you know, it's like we got to buy all new stuff for next year for this new motor and everything they got out. So we're just kind of trying to use our junk to the end, so to speak, and it didn't last.
Better luck next time.
Jack Landis 11th in ASA points, falling out early here today. Meantime, off the restart and the pit stop shuffle, Kenny Wallace has moved to the top of the field once again. Wallace is your leader. Eddie is second. Here's Dave Sensiba riding 5th. Tony Raines is 6th. Jimmy Johnson is 7th in the 44 car. Johnson was 4th on the restart. He is backpedaling again. Scott Hansen is 3rd. You got to look at the 99 car briefly. Here's Sensiba. This is what happened a lap ago. He got into the left rear quarter panel of the 44. Sensiba moving Jimmy aside to get inside and grab the position as they run down the front stretch. Tony Raines followed through on the inside there to make the pass as well. Hansen now is 3rd. Sensiba 4th. Raines is 5th. Jimmy Johnson is 6th. This is a good battle here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Hansen pushes up the racetrack. Sensiba starting to get things going again in the 6th car. He has had a good run here this afternoon. He will motor by for 3rd spot.
With 123 laps to go, if these three can hook up, they appear to have the best setup at this point in the race. Hansen knows how to win here. Raines has been fast here. Sensiba's got a great car. If they can single file themselves out and pace themselves, they may not have to come in and pit again, and they might see the top 3 cars right here at the end of the race.
Kenny Wallace, though, is leading once again, and he is very, very strong. The pole sitter, he has dominated much of the race. Took advantage of the way the pit stop cycle worked out last time to come off pit road with the lead. And he has started to drive away again, almost a second to the good over Mike Eddy, who is 2nd. And they are 2 seconds ahead of Dave Sensiba now, who rides 3rd. And a 2nd at a place like this is a lot of distance. Lap times here about 22 seconds on race pace. There's Jimmy Johnson, good friend and teammate Ricky Johnson right behind him. They're 6th and 7th with Rick Beebe 8th on board the Nationwide Auction System Chevrolet. Ricky Johnson tracking down the back straightaway. One of the things that's helped Ricky do so well in the Rookie of the Year points, he's completed 98% of the laps this year. Very durable. That team has been very strong keeping that car on the racetrack.
And until their first lap accident in Milwaukee, which they did finish the race, so they're still stellar in the did not finish category. They're 0 in that marking, but what they've been able to do is keep it top 14 every race until Milwaukee. They finished as high as 3rd at Anderson, and as worst had been 14th up to last week. Very consistent.
Being in the top 10, top 15 is the key to points racing in so many series.
You know, you can see the problem with the 44 right here. Watch the back end of that car. It just will not stay behind. Just a matter of time, and here goes the 22 car underneath him.
Teammates racing for position in turn 3, a car owner's worst nightmare sometimes. Just ask Barry Green in the Kart FedEx Championship Series what he thinks of his boys Dario Franchitti and Paul Tracy racing one another. Jimmy Johnson goes by, goes to the outside, lets Ricky go through. Now Mike Miller makes it 3 wide. Miller for position on the inside of the Janiking car. He goes by at BB. Jimmy Johnson closes down on the inside. Miller will go by him as well. So Miller grabs 2 spots and moves to 7. 115 laps to go. Ricky Johnson, Mike Miller, Rick Beebe, Jimmy Johnson all in a cluster. Mike Garvey, and look at Derek Gilchrist starting to get going now. He's up to 11. We've documented a couple of times how last week's Milwaukee winner has not been pleased with his race car since they got here, but Robert Hampke and the crew have been tuning on that thing all day. And Gilchrist, the rookie contender, has 3 ASA victories this year. He's starting to rumble as well. Miller is 6th on board the Janiking machine. Now we get a look from Ricky Johnson's cameras on top of the Nationwide Auction System Chevrolet. Down into 3. Ricky picking up the throttle to come up onto the main straightaway. Get a look at the packed house here at the Minnesota State Fair. They love the ASA here in St. Paul. As do we. Kenny Wallace is out in front by 1.5 seconds over Eddie, way in front of this car.
The fair opened at 7 this morning. The grandstands opened shortly after 10. There were probably 300-400 people in here already at 10 in the morning. They have 18,000 seats filled up now. Race time was just about 1 o'clock. So as the roar of the engines hit the fairgrounds, fans come in, a very reasonable ticket price. They fill this place up pretty quick.
Ricky Johnson, Rick Beebe, and Mike Garvey. Tim Sauter back there at 10th. Garvey wants 9th away from Beebe, and he'll get it, make it 8. On board, Ricky Johnson riding 7th. Garvey right up behind him now in the Tecumseh Chevrolet. Garvey a little higher on the racetrack than he'd probably like to be. He'll turn underneath, coming down the backstretch. And Garvey will go underneath Ricky Johnson for position. So Garvey's car starting to work well. He's up to 7th. Tim Sauter starting to come forward now as well. Ricky Johnson's machine pushing up the racetrack. You can see it there. Sauter moving to 8th.
Here again, we see Tim Sauter elected to pit this last pit stop. 5 of the 15 lead lap cars did, including Tim Sauter, Mike Miller, Mike Garvey, and Tristan Dupuis. So we see that again. Those tires are making a big difference. Ricky Johnson stayed out and he got passed.
And a spin. Ted Musgrave Jr. has gone around in the Zeropa Chevrolet. Musgrave was running well earlier here, being shown at 16th spot before the spin. So we'll have caution on the Speedway. Safety car is out. Dan Spence puts the yellow out. And there's a little debris up on the racetrack as well, we're told, up in the corner. So 110 laps to go, and the yellow's back out. Not a lot of laps since the last caution. Do you think we'll see anybody on pit road, Butch?
If they have tires left and they have enough for, they need at least 2 more stops, I believe, to go to the end of the race. If somebody has 3 stops worth of tires, they're going to stop right now and put 2 of them on.
Kenny Wallace picked up as the leader. He has been the dominant car. Hasn't taken him long to get to the front after any of his stops. Tim Taylor on the outside there, the 28 car. He is a lap down, so the lead lap car's on the inside. Wallace will not come down pit road this time, but Eddie will. Tony Raines will stop. Sensiba, Hansen, Mike Miller, Garvey, Tim Sauter. Wallace will stay out. I'm surprised. Brian Drever, what's going on with Mike Eddy?
Mike Eddy's coming in for left side tires, so they're clearly taking advantage of this caution borderline on whether or not they can stay out without stopping again. Likewise in is Mike Garvey. He goes out pretty quick. Scott Hansen, Lisa Smokestad says, we have a plan. I asked her, are you going to tell me the whole plan at once, or are you going to give it to me a little at a time? She said, a little at a time. So I'll keep tracking that one for you.
Lisa Smokestad celebrating her 30th birthday today, and quite a tire specialist she is. Kenny Wallace has led 90 of 192 laps so far in Minnesota. We're back with more ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series action next Sunday afternoon, Jennerstown Speedway in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. The Pontiac Excitement 400, Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern and Pacific time, live here on TNN Motorsports. We'll be bringing you race day from Jennerstown Speedway, of course, next Sunday at 11 Eastern and Pacific time. Hope you can join us next Sunday afternoon. Here's why the yellow flag waved last time around. On board with Ken Alexander, you see the spin up ahead coming off of turn number 4. 72, Ted Musgrave Jr. going around. Looked like he made a little contact with another race car up in there. Kenny Wallace has stayed out, ready to go green. Wallace and Brandon Sperling didn't pit. Brian Drever, what's the situation with Wallace?
Well, crew chief Richie Waters says we're good. He says, so I asked him how many times are you going to stop, or if you're going to stop anymore. He said, yes, we'll come in, we'll change lefts, then rights. So apparently they're on the same sequence as Scott Hansen's crew right now, but this time they did it without stopping. Hansen did.
Wallace's stout must have decided that the tires under the car were good for the next 30 or 40 laps. Coming up on 100 to go. Rick Beebe's crew on pit road under green, changing right side tires. That's an unscheduled stop. The 82 of Sam Gottwald with some problems down the back straightaway. He's been off the pace much of the day. Gottwald down below the white line, though, maybe coming to pit road permanently. Wallace and Sperling, meantime, they did not stop, as we mentioned, and they are your top 2 cars. Sperling in the red McDonald's machine, trailing the Milwaukee tool car here of Kenny Wallace. Down the back straightaway, we'll cycle back and show you Mike Garvey in the 1. He is 3rd. Mike Eddy in the 88 is 4th. The 18 of Mike Miller is 5th. And we understand that Miller may have used up his allotment of tires already. If that's the case, you got to think that he's going to struggle to come in the top 10 somewhere here today. 100 laps to go next time by, and word from pit road is that Mike may have used his full allotment of 16 already.
He's been bolting on tires in quite a quick fashion. He can find other tires on pit lane, but that may come in as a ASA approved move only. We did see Gary St. Amant run black wheels all year. He's got some silver ones on there. The Buddy Gainey car in this race has silver wheels. So that means that maybe they were working team strategy. Gary got the sizes he wanted. Didn't matter what wheels they're on, but he might have the advantage of having a teammate to play off of tire strategy with.
Does work that way. Good to have a couple of cars to work with. 4 tires a lot of times. Eddy, Miller, Scott Hansen, Tony Raines. Brian Drever, is that right? Is Mike Miller out of tires down there?
Well, they're not quite out, but, you know, out or almost out is going to be the same thing here at Minnesota State Fair. They've changed 12 tires. You know how many they're allowed? I looked at Mike Schroeder, the Jackman. He said, we got 3 more. There are, in fact, some fresh tires down here. I guess the question is whether or not they're the right sizes.
Right now, Miller seems to be okay, racing inside of Eddy for 4th spot. Give Mike Miller 4th. Eddy pushes up the racetrack. Hansen will go by as well for 5th now. Eddy trying to hang on the outside, and here's Raines to the outside of the 74. Raines thought he had a chance at gobbling up a spot on the backstretch. Can't do it, so now he'll drop in behind Hansen. Working the front straightaway. 97 remaining in a spin. Tim Taylor goes around. Coming off turn 4 again. This has been the trouble spot the last several laps. Taylor loses it, and we get a caution. Not a hard wreck again by any means. Taylor gets it straightened out, but what is it about turn 4 here, Butch? Is it just the place on the racetrack when you're picking up the throttle, or is there a dip there, something like that?
No, there's no dip off of turn 4. It's just, I don't know exactly what happened there. He just must be extremely loose. And, you know, just looking at Tristan Dupuis, the 28 car, those guys like to keep their cars on the free side anyway. And at this particular racetrack, you don't want your car free at all. The more push you got, the better off you are.
So Taylor straightens the EMAS Chevrolet back out and gets back under power. We're under caution for another couple of laps, it would appear. Wallace, Sperling, Garvey, Miller, and Mike Eddy. Look a little deeper in the field. We haven't even seen him yet today, but the 52 of Derek Gilchrist. Very steady job by the Robert Hamke team. He is up to 9th, last week's Milwaukee winner. Here you go, Gary St. Amant with the bump on Taylor there, coming off the corner, and that is what turned the 28 car around. So St. Amant is so much faster than the 28, you'd almost think that he got on the button and Taylor didn't.
That does show that he was more than just on the free side. Actually, Tim was pretty good and got helped around. That was definitely not Tim's fault.
A clean hit, you would say. Miller on pit road. They're going to change left side tires. Brian Drebber.
Well, they are changing left side tires, and tire specialist Jim Duffy is not in the area. That's because he's running around trying to find more rubber. So they changed left sides. By our count, they're down to 1, and in fact, no, 2. Make it 2. There are 2 fresh tires sitting here in the pit of the Jana King Pontiac.
So Kenny Wallace does get tires as well. He comes off pit road in the lead. Miller will restart in 2nd spot. We'll check out Gary St. Amant's situation when we come back. He's been the leader several times this afternoon at Minnesota. Back live at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds, St. Paul, Minnesota. The Miller Lite 300 presented by Auto Value Stores and by Jana King Commercial Cleaning Services here on TNN Motorsports. I'm Rick Benjamin, Butch Miller, and Jim Trado alongside. Brian Drebber's on pit road for us. And it's been a great one so far this afternoon. Competition all over the racetrack. Tons of action. Lots of cautions, though, today. Jimmy Johnson has struggled today, but Ricky Johnson, his teammate, will restart out in front of the Nationwide Auction System Chevrolet. Did not come in for tires on this caution flag that we're in right now, and he will restart up front.
Big reason why Ricky Johnson stayed out. Number 1, track position. Number 2, 5 laps for leading a lap. This is only his 2nd time ever leading an ASA race. He led 1 lap at Dover, almost won that race. And here today, his first trip to Minnesota may pay off with a good top 5 finish. We talked about how quickly the tires go away for the cars who don't pit, but he has a number of cars behind him that also elected not to pit, so he may be able to break away here and lead a bunch of laps.
And with the frequent cautions, this is our 11th of the afternoon, so they've been coming about every 15, 20 laps. You got to figure you've got a good chance here. If you can play the tire strategy just right, you might be able to steal a win or at least an up-front finish. Ted Musgrave Jr., first car on the racetrack, with the leader is the 22 of Ricky Johnson. Eddie Hoffman in the 5, not on the lead lap. Kenny Wallace in the 55 is shown 2nd. Mike Miller in the 18 restarting 3rd. Rick Beebe is not in the front group either. And Ted Musgrave Sr. goes around in the 75 car. Ted Musgrave spins, and we'll get caution, I believe, one more time, because he has backed up onto the racetrack coming off of turn 2. Gets it refired, back underway. Fielded speed. I guess the caution has not come out. We'll show you what happened after that pit stop. Kenny Wallace, leader, restarts 2nd. Brandon Sperling goes back from 2nd to 9th. No caution for the Ted Musgrave spin. Ricky Johnson remains your leader. We assumed, because of where he went around, that the yellow would come out, but Dan Spence decided everything was safe, and he keeps the green flag on the racetrack. Eddie Hoffman there riding in the 5 car behind Ricky Johnson. He and Rick Beebe in the 23. Ted Musgrave Jr. in the 72, not among the leaders. So Ricky Johnson's got an opportunity here to open up some real estate on Kenny Wallace. Wallace has got a long way to go. There's the 55. He's buried behind half a dozen lapped cars. He's got Mike Miller right with him in 3rd. Mike Garvey in the 1 car is 4th in the running order. Wallace blows by Musgrave Jr. on the inside, but he's got a couple of more cars to navigate by. If Ricky Johnson can get hooked up and pull away here, he's got a great opportunity to build a good lead. Now Garvey behind Miller. They're trailing Wallace. This is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, down into turn 3. Miller and Garvey, and Tony Raines is there too, able to stick right with Wallace. And look at Miller to the inside. Mike Miller jumps inside of Wallace as they come off of 2. Miller wants 2nd spot away from the pole sitter, and he's got it. And now Garvey will try to follow him through. Great action all around the racetrack here at the Minnesota State Fair. Kenny Wallace looks like he's not making that car go where he wants it to, Butch.
No, he's not. But, you know, it all depends on which tires he changed last. You know, he might be a little weak on his left rear right now. Needs inside tires. Next stop will probably be the one that tells how the car is going to be for the end of the race.
Mike Miller has moved to second in the 18 car. Mike Garvey is third in the 1. Tony Reyes is fourth in the blue and white 74. But they're all chasing rookie Ricky Johnson. 85 to go. Caution again at the Minnesota State Fair. Some of the top cars on pit road. Brian Drebber.
Gary St. Amant coming down pit road, left rear tire only. Now, guys, I got the skinny on this tire rule. The rule is very simple. You can use as many tires as you can beg, borrow, steal, or buy. How many you get depends on how many Goodyear brings to the race. They divide them evenly among the teams. Now, the situation is with, for instance, with Gary St. Amant, he loaned David Doran his backup car so that Doran could start the race to get points. In return, Doran is letting Gary St. Amant and his crew use all the tires that were allotted to him. I mentioned tire specialist Jim Duffy for the Janiking Pontiac and Mike Miller. He's been running around trying to play let's make a deal. So the drivers are wheeling, the crews are dealing for tires here at Minnesota.
Now that makes a lot more sense than the 16, so the tires that are available from a car that's gone out would be available to another team, and that starts to help us understand a little bit what some of the tire strategy has been. Now Mike Miller has retaken the lead. Here's what the move looked like just a moment ago before the caution. Miller coming off the 4th turn to the inside of Ricky Johnson down into 1 and 2. Mike making the pass good as they raced off of 2nd turn. A moment after that happened, a spin going down in turn 1. Ted Musgrave Jr., Jimmy Price in the 79, Jimmy Mars in the 01 was in the middle of it. Buddy Gainey, it looked like, in the 4. He was in the mix there as well. Price got the 7. We saw the aftermath when Price was stopped on the racetrack, but it was the 72 of Ted Musgrave Jr. who really kind of touched that one off, spinning first. You're on board here with Ken Alexander, who went high to get around the mess. Got to look at both cars looping.
Hear that clink, clink, clink? That's all the debris outside the main groove rattling around on the wheel well. So there is quite a bit of debris outside the main 2 grooves in turn 1.
You hear about the marbles. That's what we're talking about. Dan Spence shows the field 1 lap till green here at Minnesota, the Minnesota State Fairgrounds in St. Paul. Great place to come. State Fair's been on for 10 days. This is the final day, and they've come by the tens of thousands here today to enjoy all the attractions and a packed house, of course, to enjoy ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series stock car action. And you're enjoying it at home on TNN Motorsports. Restarting with 78 laps to go. Mike Miller is out in front of the 18, the 88 of Eddie, in 2nd spot now. Mike Garvey is 3rd in the Tecumseh Chevrolet, the 1 car. Tristan Dupuis in the yellow number 11 is 4th. And the yellow is back out. Jimmy Mars on the Speedway in the 01.
Very slow on the apron.
Perhaps Mars did not come up to speed when the green came back out. I'm not certain at this moment. Looked as though Mars may have gone around when the green flag came back out. So Mars, who had a good run going early, has developed some problems here in the later stages of this one. So we're under caution once again. We'll sneak in a quick timeout. Come right back for plenty more at the Minnesota State Fair and the ASA on TNN.
Also here this afternoon for
Back live at St. Paul, Minnesota, State Fair Speedway, the Minnesota State Fairgrounds today. The ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series here on TNN Motorsports. Ready to restart. Mike Miller in the 18 car will bring him to the green one more time. Mike Eddy goes in 2nd. Mike Garvey is 3rd. Eddy to the outside of Miller. In turn 2, but Miller digging hard down low. The 2 great veterans are door to door for the lead. And Eddy takes the spot. Miller comes right back at him on the inside. Garvey just watching things from 3rd. And Eddy, the polar bear, will ride to the outside and grab the top spot. Coming up on 70 to go. Eddy, the winner at La Crosse several weeks ago. After 225 laps, 16 lead changes, the most this season among 9 drivers. We've had 13 cautions already. Jim Trado, I think that's close to a record here at Minnesota.
95, they had 10 of them, but unfortunately these quick cautions have played in the favor of some. Although the top 10 cars right now did not pit this time by. 5 cars did, so we'll see how Gary St. Amant, Tony Raines, and the like can make their way back through in the late going.
Now, as we get down to the last 50 laps or so, track position becomes even more important. You don't have time to get back up in there if you do elect to pit.
Well, actually, I can remember a few years ago, and we were leading. Mike Eddy was second. We pitted, or Mike Eddy pitted with about 25 or 30 to go, passed me to win.
Wow.
And had no problem passing me.
So fresh tires make a big difference here. Jimmy Price in the 79 car has spun yet again. He has clipped the wall up in turn 4, we understand. So we've got caution. Saw some smoke out of another car as the field checked up going down into turn 4. I'll tell you, Dan Spence won't need to go to the weight room this week. His right arm's got plenty of exercise with that caution flag today.
Really, none of those have been all that.
Price gets straightened out, and he will fall in at the back of the field.
Jimmy actually ran in the All-Pro Series for a number of years on and off, and he had his son Travis. This is actually Travis's car, so Jimmy actually was crew chief for Billy Turner in ASA, and when they separated their ways, Travis got his own car and runs weekly at Jefferson, Georgia. And Jimmy's getting the nod, I guess, from his son to race a few races, and unfortunately, they're not having the greatest of days.
So Mike Eddy, Mike Miller, and Mike Garvey. It's a Mike kind of day here at the Minnesota State Fair. 68 laps to go when we continue on TNN. 1 lap till the restart here at the Minnesota State Fair for the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series. The winner this afternoon gets to ring the bell here at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Who's that? Third down there underneath Dick Trickle's name. You've won this one a couple of times, Butch.
Yeah, I like that. I'd like to win it one more time.
Hopefully you'll get a chance sometime. Is this a big ceremony? I've never seen one of these. They walk you up on stage and get you to do that?
Well, you do need to ring that bell. Unlike drinking orange juice at the Indy 500, you know.
1990, you defeated Joe Shear for the win here at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. 65 to go, and the green is back out. Mike Eddy, your restart leader. Mike Miller second. Dave Sensiba trying to race by Tristan Dupuis for 4th spot. Scott Hansen is 3rd. That's the green number 99 car. Sensiba has been stout much of the day. He turns inside the rookie Dupuis. He will grab the position as they come down the front stretch. Jimmy Johnson now with some fresh rubber on the 44 car. Tony Raines. Raines in the 74 is 7th. Look back one more spot there, and you see Derek Gilchrist 3 wide into 3, and Raines will make the move. They'll go by Dupuis and Johnson, so move Raines up to 5th. I don't think Tony Raines is done here this afternoon by any means.
Absolutely not. He has kept that car perfectly straight all day long. Tires are under it, and if I was to pick a car right now, it wouldn't be the 55 or anybody, or the 7. I'd say it'd be Tony Raines is going to win this thing.
Speaking of the 55, Kenny Wallace to the outside of Dupuis. Right behind him, how about Derek Gilchrist in the 52? 3 wins this year, including a fine run last week at Milwaukee to victory lane. Struggled all day, but he's patiently worked his way into the top 10. He sits 9th right now.
And he's running on a track he's not seen before, nor has Tristan Dupuis in 8th position. So these rookies have really shown that the experience they've gained prior to coming to ASA pays off, coming to new venues and running well this late in the going.
A couple of guys right there, the 7 and the 9, Gary St. Amant and Tim Sauter. They have led here today, trying to get back to the front as we get close to 50 laps remaining. I think St. Amant might have something for him, too. He was very strong the 2 times he's led this afternoon. Gilchrist getting past now. Sauter to the inside of Dupuis. He's got Beebe directly in front of him in 10th.
Looks like Gary might have had a little bit of body damage, may have punted someone a little harder. We saw him earlier getting to Tim Taylor, so that should not affect too many things unless those hinges break loose, Butch. You know, you don't sit that high behind the cowling in the windshield.
Tim Sauter really starting to run well on the inside again in the Pinsino team car, the Build-A-Mold Chevrolet. Up front, Scott Hansen, Mike Miller, Mike Eddy. Eddy is your leader. Hansen to the outside, 1 second spot, and he's got it. So Scott Hansen working the outside line, gets around Miller, and now draws a bead on Eddy. Boy, you talk about ASA history and championships and race wins. These 3 guys certainly own a lot of it. The 7-time champion Eddy is your leader. Hansen has won the last 2 of these State Fair 300s here in Minnesota. Getting down to the end, and he looks outside Eddie. This is for the lead. Scott Hansen closing in on the 88 car. Looking for his 25th career ASA victory here today. Eddie will hold him at bay. And Miller right back into the mix. Mike Miller hasn't given up by any means. 3 great pros. Boy, they race each other clean. Hansen, he may have him by a wheel. Eddie hangs on, but as they push off of turn 4, it's going to be Scott Hansen with the lead to put Hansen at the top of the leaderboard in the 99 car. Look at Raines now. He's right up to 4th. Where's Kenny Wallace? He's the white machine back in 5th, the 55. Wallace, your pole sitter. He's been stout as well. He's led pretty much when he's wanted to today. Led 90-some laps earlier in the day. But Scotty Hansen, who's won the last 2 of these races in Minnesota, wants to make it 3 straight. Raines working on Miller for 3rd. Raines in the 74. Had trouble. Buddy Gainey has spun. Perhaps has clipped the wall. This looks to be in turn 1. Coming up on 50 to go here momentarily. Gainey gets it refired. He has got cut down tires. He sure did hit the wall. Right side tires. That car is about as out of square as you can get. And we are under caution again for the 15th time on the afternoon. Lots of body damage to the other Gainey Transportation car, and Buddy scraped the wall going into turn 1. Hit it a pretty good shot, it would appear.
With that severe of an angle, I'm guessing that tire may have gone down because he was actually at the wall before the turn even started. Unfortunately for the Michigan driver, hoping to be a full-time rookie next year in the Gainey Transportation Services Chevrolet team car to to Gary St. Amant. I don't think he'll be borrowing those wheels or tires anytime soon, though.
No, you can pretty much throw those away for scrap at this stage of the game. He'll go behind the wall, and his afternoon is over, it would appear. 50 to go next time by, under caution for the 15th time this day. Hansen will have the restart lead if he stays on the racetrack, but he's looking as though he might dive onto pit road. Here he comes. Hansen and Eddie and Miller will all come down pit road one more time, as will Raines, Wallace, and Sensiva. So you've got several of the top cars that have spent time up front here this afternoon coming to pit road to Brian Drebber.
Well, guys, we heard that Lisa Smokestad and Scott Hansen had a plan. The plan was to end up with right side tires, and that's what they're taking on. Just in front of them, Mike Eddy also taking on right side tires, and in front of Mike Eddy, who's now out, Mike Garvey taking on rears only. Garvey's out. So these guys have a little bit of a different strategy going, and if Hansen has a plan, that plan just might work.
Gary St. Amant trying to get back into the hunt. Jimmy Johnson, Sensiva, Dupuis, Gilchrist, and Beebe, but Miller is stuck on pit road. Mike Miller giving up tons of spots. They're having problems with the left side of that car. Looks as though they're having trouble getting the left front wheel off. Sounds as though the air gun may be not functioning properly. They drop the jack and send Mike away. We'll get Brian Drebber down there to find out if they did change the left front tire. Sounded as though the air wrench might not have been working properly. So Brian Drebber will check that out for us. We'll come back and tell you more about Mike Miller's situation here at the Minnesota State Fair. The Miller Lite 300 on TNN Motorsports. Nobody's leaving the Minnesota State Fair at St. Paul, Minnesota, because we're about to see who's got the strongest hand of cards in the last 50 laps. The Miller Lite 300 for the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series under caution yet again. We'll show you what happened to Buddy Gainey in the 4 car. This is coming out of 4.
48 laps to go.
Gainey clipped the wall once there, probably flatted the right front tire at that point. Ended up in the wall down in turn 1, knocked the rear end out from under the car too. So the Gainey Transportation 4 car done for the day. Interesting tire strategy, and Mike Miller had problems on pit road. There's debris on the track on the backstretch, so we're not going to go green quite yet. The safety crew out to sweep things off up in 2. Mike Miller lost a ton of track position, Brian Drebber. What happened down there?
Well, first I've got to ask you guys, does this look like a crew that had a problem? And if you answer no, I'm going to ask Butch Miller if he remembers Nashville. Right side tire change, flip-flop left sides. They're going for the throat again, boys.
Well, that was the strategy, but it sure took them a long time to get that job done. Sure sounded as though they had an air wrench problem. Miller comes off pit road in 15th spot, so he's got a long way to go to get back to the front.
Okay, just so people understand what happened there, they put brand new tires on the right side of Mike Miller's car. Then they went over to the left side and they took a barely used left front tire, took it off the left front, took it to the back, put it on the left rear, and took the left rear and put it back on the left front. That gives you like having, it's almost like making a 4-tire pit stop. And he will have an advantage if nobody else pits for the rest of the race.
But I'll tell you, the problem they evidently had getting that change completed cost him a lot of spots on the racetrack. Now, we do have 47 laps to go. We're still under caution. We're going to take a quick timeout, come right back, put this one back under green, see if we can go to the checkered flag in Minnesota.
And a solid third place.
Back at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds, St. Paul, Minnesota, the Miller Lite 300 for the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series here on TNN Motorsports. Rick Benjamin, Butch Miller, Jim Trado topside. Brian Drebber's on pit road. An extended caution period here. One of the cars has apparently oiled the track down quite thoroughly. So the safety crews are out dropping Speedy dry and doing some sweeping around turn 3 especially. Show you what happened on pit road. Scott Hansen lost 2 spots on that last stop. Mike Eddy lost 3. Mike Miller lost a lot, 12 to be exact. Tony Raines lost a couple. Kenny Wallace lost 1. Don't count Wallace out. He's the pole sitter, led a lot of laps today. Brian Drebber, we thought that they had trouble making that 4-tire swap in the 18 pit, but that's not the case, is it?
Sometimes, guys, that's what's fun about being down here on pit road, because I can find out for you what happened. Now, they changed, as Butch said, put on brand new right side tires, and they flip-flopped the lefts. What takes the extra time when they do that is they have to hand put the lug nuts on. There are not lug nuts either glued or with little springs held onto the wheels. They have to put them on by hand. That takes extra time, but they feel like that extra time was well spent for these last laps of the race.
Ricky Johnson and Brandon Sperling again not on the same pit stop sequence as everybody else. 42 to go. They restart up front. Scott Hansen is third in the green 99 car. Ken Alexander and Eddie Hoffman are on the racetrack next, but they are not on the lead lap. Here comes Wallace to the inside of Eddie. They are 5th and 6th. Lots of Speedy dry getting blown up off the racetrack. Everybody stays straight. On board with Mike Eddy. The Iton Chevrolet onboard view. Off of turn 2. Eddie, Wallace, and Raines, 5th, 6th, and 7th right now on the racetrack. Up front, Sperling to the inside of Ricky Johnson for the lead. Brandon Sperling goes to the point. The Crookston Chevrolet, the McDonald's drive-through machine, is your new leader. You're on board with Ricky Johnson. Coming up on 40 laps to go. Butch, you're thinking that some of these guys may stop yet again for tires.
That could happen. You know, it all depends. If they have a yellow within the next 10 laps, somebody will pit and put on probably just rears.
Eddie Hoffman laps down. Hansen in the 50, make that the 99. He is third. Ted Smokestad in the 10 car, not on the lead lap. He stays to the inside. Sauter in the 9 is 4th. Eddie in the 88 is 5th. Jump up on top of Eddie's car. Going by his teammate there. Leader Sperling has started to drive away.
Hoffman is not on lead lap, but you just got a tap there from Tim Sauter saying, hey, I'm not lead lap. Get out of my way. You come down in front of me. I'm going to not make it so nice next corner if you're not out of my way. So there's a lot of shuffling going on here.
Sauter, as we saw earlier, not shy about using the chrome horn to get somebody out of the way if he needs him to move. He races outside of Hoffman down the front stretch. Here comes Eddie making the same move. Eddie Hoffman grew up on the Chicagoland short tracks. He's no stranger to mixing it up when he needs to. He'll stay low and let the leaders go by on the high side. And look at Wallace in the white Ford, the Thunderbird, the 55 car, your pole sitter. He is 6th. Mike Garvey is behind him in 7th, the 1. Then Tony Raines in the blue 74. Gary St. Amand, who has been quick here at times today, he's starting to move again. He is 9th. Eddie and Wallace now Hansen to the outside of Ricky Johnson for second. Hansen is in the 99, the green car. On board with Ricky Johnson's machine. Down the backstretch. The Nationwide Auction Systems team. Brandon Sperling in the McDonald's machine is your leader.
Sperling has not had a lot to crow about this season. Just the third place finish at Memphis highlights a season with just 8 top 10 finishes. The rest of them, you could sum up by saying it's been a disastrous season for the remaining events for this McDonald's drive-thru team. They spent all week working on Greg Stewart's car in their shops in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and preparing this car for the run here today.
Sperling doing a nice job. Now, he does not have tires that are as fresh as those that Hansen's car is wearing. Sperling and Johnson stayed out on the racetrack in that last caution. Hansen is alongside Sperling for the lead. Sperling on the outside, giving Hansen everything he wants and then some, and he's going to pick Hansen off here on a left car, and look like. So Sperling uses Carroll Adamy as a nice screen there to reestablish a car length lead. Brian Drimmer, they've got to be happy in the Crookston Motorsports pit.
Well, I'm with Arlie Wood, the crew chief, and Arlie's talking to Brandon. Arlie, what are you telling him right now?
Tell them not to look at the gauges, just keep on going. Drive-through crew got him there. He could go from there.
You know, you guys haven't had a whole lot of real high spots in the last few races of the season. You'd sure like to pull off a win here, wouldn't you?
We could use a win. We need it.
All right. That's Arlie Wood and the McDonald's drive-through crew. They got their fingers crossed for Brandon out there.
Arlie Wood has called a good race today for Brandon Sperling. They have used a different pit stop sequence than almost everybody else. And Brandon has the lead coming up on 30 to go. But he's got Scott Hansen, who's won the last 2 races here at the Minnesota State Fair, breathing down his neck once again. Hansen to the inside, going down into 3. Sperling, the youngster from Yorba Linda, California, trying to hang on. They are leaning on each other down into 1. Harold Fair way off the pace down low. Hansen's going to have to back out of the gas again. Or is he? Not much. Sperling uses him, though, as a screen again to get a couple of car lengths on Hansen. Sperling in the 40, Hansen in the 99, 30 to go. And if Sperling can keep that car on the inside, he is going to give Hansen fits. And look at this, Mike Garvey around Ricky Johnson for 3rd spot. Garvey's come from out of nowhere the last couple of laps. He's really on a roll. Mike Garvey in the Lefebvre Chevrolet is really moving. Garvey was back in 7th on the last lap. He gained 5 spots in 1 lap.
After that pit stop, he gained 6 positions to get in behind Hansen here. Hansen's the only guy that pitted that's still ahead of him.
Back downstairs to Brian Drebber.
Well, I'm down here now with Lisa Smokestad, the birthday girl. Lisa, you said you had a plan. First of all, what was it, and is it working?
The plan is still in progress, as you can see, and it seems to be working, but I'm not going to jinx us.
Jinxing you would be saying that it is, in fact, working. I mean, Scott knows how to win here for sure, and he said he wants to ring the bell a 3rd time.
Yes, he does. We all do. The Minnesota State Fair is home for Craig and I, so we love coming here. Ringing the bell 3 times on the 30th would be great.
Lisa Smokestad, the tire specialist for Scott Hansen. She's the woman with the plan.
Hansen to the outside of Sperling for the race lead, but here comes Garvey. 25 to go this time by. Hansen running the 2nd groove here is going to make the move for the lead as they come out of turn 4. And a spin. Oh, Derek Gilchrist with a big spin coming off a 2. Gets back on the button, may not cause a caution. Drove through the banners. Gets back on the racetrack. He had a good run going. 15th spot for Gilchrist, and the yellow flag is out with 25 to go. All right, Butch, who are we going to see come down pit road now?
Maybe Mike Miller. Maybe flip-flop on those insides. He didn't get quite the rear stagger he wanted, so you might see Mike come in for 2 rear tires.
Derek Gilchrist back on the racetrack. The 3-time winner this year has fought hard to get up into contention, coming off 2. Looked as though he might have made a little contact there, went into the sand trap, and that saved him. He was fast across there. I was afraid he was going to hit something hard, but the sand caught the car, helped him get it turned around, and he's back up on the racetrack quickly. So Gilchrist does not lose a lap, still being shown 15th. He moves to the inside lane, and he is going to probably come to pit road quickly for a look-see by the Robert Hamke crew. He drops down to the inside. Gary St. Amant is going to take tires. Now, St. Amant was 10th. He evidently didn't like the way that car was performing. Sensiba, Dupuis, Gilchrist, and Jimmy Johnson will be the drivers coming onto pit road. 23 laps to go. You got to think this is it. If you're going to make a stop, you got to do it now, I would think.
This is absolutely it. And I noticed Mike Miller did not come in. So right now, I guess Gary St. Amant's the only one taking the chance.
Top 5 drivers stay out on the racetrack. Now, in these cars, Butch, with these Goodyear bias ply tires, cooling them off, does that help? Is it to your advantage under caution late in the race like this to stay out on the racetrack?
No, cooling them off, they'll come back some by cooling them off, but nowhere near as good as a new tire.
So Scott Hansen will be your restart leader, it appears, with the 40 of Brandon Sperling and the 1 of Mike Garvey. There'll be about 20 to go when we come back at St. Paul. Back live at the Minnesota State Fair in St. Paul, the State Fair Speedway getting down to business here. 20 to go next time by, and we are under caution. Your restart leader will be Scott Hansen, Brandon Sperling, Mike Garvey will line up 1, 2, and 3. Ryan Drever, how about Garvey's team? That car has really taken off like a rocket.
Well, it certainly has, but it's been a long day for crew chief Ken Lund. Ken, you were fast in practice. Mike hated the car, and you've been clawing your way towards the front ever since.
Yeah, it seems that way. We've been throwing tires at it all day, you know, and really we're out of tires right now, and it's just working out for us, I guess. The car still isn't the way he likes it, but, you know, we're in third. We're going to see if we can pull it off.
Considering the way things went the last race out, I think you like being where you are right now.
That's an understatement. To come to Monte Carlo's running awful good today. You know, we're real proud of Mike Garvey. He's doing a heck of a job for us.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for you, too.
Thank you.
Remember last week in Milwaukee, they qualified up front. Left front tire exploded on lap 1, and they finished 30 or 40 laps down. Garvey's had horrible luck a lot this year.
Finished 29th in that race. And really, if you look at Garvey's season, he's been fast. He still leads more than anybody else in laps, more races than anybody else. He has yet to lead today, but I think he'll want to lead the last lap.
And you know what else? Saturday, a guy won a race, said his car was just awful. Mark Martin won that Busch race last Saturday, said his car was terrible. He lit all the laps. You know,
said he hated the car when they brought it to Darlington. Shows you how much work you can do on a car if you have a good crew chief and a good team around you. Garvey's team has certainly fought hard here today. Scott Hansen going for his 3rd straight win at Minnesota State Fair Speedway. Your restart leader with 20 laps to go. Brandon Sperling is 2nd. Garvey is 3rd. Ricky Johnson is 4th. Tim Sauter is 5th on the restart. Mike Eddy and Kenny Wallace are 6th and 7th. Sperling trailing now by a car length. And here comes Garvey. We'll see if Hansen is as stout as that car has looked at times here today. He's going to try to drive away. Garvey, if he's going to have a shot, needs to get around Sperling quickly. And here comes Wallace. Around Mike Eddy for 6th. Remember, Wallace was the pole sitter. Led 90 laps earlier today. The car is not as quick as it was earlier in the afternoon. You're on board with Mike Eddy. Tony Raines right back there, and here comes Mike Miller trying to come up through the field.
This great action this late in the race is very untypical of Minnesota. Last year, just 5 cars finished on lead lap. We have 15 cars on lead lap, 30 cars still running. This is an awesome race, and the fans are loving it.
Awesome battle for 2nd here. Garvey around Sperling. Down into 3. Garvey digging hard on the high side. 17 to go. Mike Garvey in the Tecumseh Chevrolet is 2nd. Garvey has come from 15th spot here today on the start of the race to take over the 2nd position. And he's got clean racetrack in front of him. Now remember, Hansen's team has worked on the tire combination all day, and they think they've got a setup under that car that will allow him to motor to his 3rd consecutive win here at Minnesota. There's the battle for the top spot. The gap is about 0.8 of a second. Kenny Wallace now has gotten around Sauter for 5th spot. Eddy is 7th, on board with Mike Miller, who's 8th. Up onto the front stretch. Don't count Wallace out of this thing. He's gone forward quickly in the 55 car. Gary St. Amant is back in 10th. Take a look back at Mike Miller's machine. Miller swings high on Eddy. Eddy using a lot of racetrack. Couple of guys,
close.
Yeah, a lot of experience, combined about 60 years of short track experience right there. Miller to the outside of Eddie. This is for 7. Miller's got him. Here comes Raines. So give Mike Miller the position. Hansen, Garvey, and Sperling, 1, 2, and 3 on the board. 12 laps to go. Garvey's cut the lead down to half a second. Raines has gotten around Eddie also. Eddie comes back at him, but I think Eddie's car has gone away. Their tire combination for the end of the race apparently is not what Mike would like to have. St. Amant now to the high side. Garvey is reeling in the leader quickly. St. Amant to the outside. St. Amant looking high on Eddie. He'll lead Jimmy Johnson around. Out of turn 4. Jimmy Johnson around the 88 as well.
Last lap 5, Gary St. Amant and Mike Eddy banged against each other. Eddie's now back 2 spots.
And look at Garvey right under the back bumper of Scotty Hansen with 10 to go. Mike Garvey has caught Hansen in a hurry. 9 laps remaining right here. Harold Fair directly in front. What a story this would be if Garvey could complete the pass and pull this off. To the inside of Hansen. Down into 3. Hansen gives him room. Garvey gets it loose a little bit off of 4.
In 1997, it was Scott Hansen and Tony Raines side by side for the final few laps. Hansen prevailed with 7 to go. He took the lead for good. Looks like Mike Garvey has a better car now on the inside. Hansen's now loose off of 4.
Mike Garvey to the lead with 7 to go. And Garvey in the Lefebvre Chevrolet takes over and opens up a car length on Hansen. That last stop where they put rear tires on has made all the difference for the Lefebvre team. Mike Garvey, your leader. What a drive he has turned in here this afternoon. Mike Miller is trying to move up. He just got by Kenny Wallace. So Mike Miller is moving. He's up to 5th, the series point leader. He's going to gain some ground, it looks like, on Tim Sauter, who's a couple of spots further back.
Sauter's back in the 7th position with Kenny Wallace in between the 2.
Wallace's car, not what he would like to have. You can see how loose he is coming off the corner.
Nobody's saving tires anymore.
And there's your battle with Gary St. Amant and Tim Sauter for 7th. St. Amant to the outside. Jimmy Johnson and Tony Raines. This is all for position. St. Amant is 7th, Sauter 8th, Johnson 9th, Raines is 10th. With 5 laps to go, 5 to go. And St. Amant has taken over 7th, and he's going to pull away now from Sauter. Jimmy Johnson to the inside of Sauter. This helps Mike Miller a lot. Up front, Garvey's lead is half a second over Scott Hansen. Trouble, Brandon Sperling spins. He gets it gathered up, no caution. Smokes the tires. Looks like he's got a tire down. Will stay green. He's got a cut down tire. Sperling needs to get that car off the racetrack. He's fighting it. Brings it down to the inside. 3 to go for the leaders. Harold Fair and Ted Smokestad go by. Tough break for Brandon Sperling, who was leading 2nd. He was in the top 3. He's going to lose a top 5 finish here, and appears with 2 to go. Here are your leaders. Garvey out in front. Hansen a car length back. White flag will be in the air this time by. Hansen trying to gather up some steam and make a last-ditch charge. Garvey hauls it off into 1. Lap traffic is ahead. Hansen a car length back. Garvey makes the 1 car wide. Dives it down low in 3. Hansen draws close to the checkered flag at the Minnesota State Fair, and Mike Garvey is your winner. Mike Garvey comes from 15th to win. Look at the battle deeper in the pack. Wallace edges St. Amant for 4th spot at the line. Kenny Wallace, Gary St. Amant, Mike Miller comes on for third. Wallace is fourth. St. Amant is fifth. Then Ricky Johnson, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Raines, Tim Sauter, and Derek Gilchrist. But the win goes to the Tecumseh team of driver Mike Garvey. We'll talk to the winner in Victory Lane when we return.
Yesterday was the first chance for newly relocated Minnesota resident Mike Garvey to have some fun with his family at the fair. I had a chance to take part in it, and it was a blast, and I think it helped him relax for today.
I figured you had to give him some helpful hints. He won that little sprint, didn't he? And he certainly did a great job here today. Good to see Mike Garvey and the Lefebvre Racing team make it to Victory Lane. Let's go downstairs to Brian Dripper.
Well, I guess there's only one question. As Mike Garvey's congratulated by his wife and his whole team, I mean, these guys are so happy. And I think, obviously, for Mike Garvey, the question is, Mike, what a difference a week makes.
Man, I'll tell you, this Lefebvre Racing team, we don't usually celebrate this much, but we've had such a weird year. The car's been so fast all year long. We've had little problems. Last week in Milwaukee, the car was just an absolute rocket, and we blew a tire, and you know, it's been a long year, and getting a second win's been tough, but I'll tell you what, we got a great group of guys. They haven't quit. They've worked their butts off, and they never gave up, and this is hometown, and nothing like winning for Scott Lefebvre here at hometown Minneapolis. We love you here in Minneapolis.
Congratulations to Mike Garvey, and back upstairs, guys.
Great win for Mike Garvey. Our congratulations to Mike and his family and the whole team. Way back to wrap things up here at the Minnesota State Fair in just a moment as we see the unofficial top 10. Our TNN Motorsports coverage of the Miller Lite 300 today has been brought to you in part by AC-Delco Automotive Parts. If you're not asking for it, you're asking for it. And by Grease Lightning Multi-Purpose Degreaser. Mike Garvey took the lead with 7 to go, the 21st lead change on the afternoon. Mike Miller finishes third and gains some ground, gains 18 points. Unofficially now is a 92-point lead over Tim Sauter, who finished 9th here today. Two-way communications equipment for the AC-Delco Challenge Series provided by Racing Electronics. Thanks for watching today. Silver Fox Sports produces these events. We'll see you next Sunday at 1 o'clock from Jennerstown.